Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. Here's what's coming up on the Owen Report today. Well, a Oval Office meeting and press gaggle just finished. President Trump was there for a Maha movement event with RFK Jr., Brooke Rollins, and others, some children. Trump is getting the kiddos, access to healthier milk, more milk options. The attack on dairy is over from this administration. So that's what the meeting at the Oval Office was about. But then the press opened up their mouths and Trump took questions, and so it went into Iran. A lot of questions on Iran, a lot of news on Iran, mostly went into geopolitics. That's what people are wondering about right now. There was another meeting in D.C. with the Trump administration. An envoy representing Greenland and Denmark. I was about to say Greenmark. To have Denland and Greenmark. No, an envoy from Denmark and Greenland met with Rubio and Vance today. And the initial response, the initial aftermath, seems that the meeting didn't go so well. Now, there's also some other news surrounding that issue with Greenland. So we'll get into all the news as far as Iran, Greenland. You've got Russia in the news. You've got Saudi Arabia in the news. Obviously, Israel's involvement in all of this. And it's amazing because here we are yet again. We're talking about geopolitics and we're talking about foreign issues. No one's talking about Ukraine now. No one's talking about Ukraine. No one's talking about the failed peace deals there. Nobody's talking about the outright fraud, money laundering, weapons laundering that has happened in the last 3 or 4 years with the United States and Ukraine and that disastrous foreign policy. It's always convenient, whether it's the tax strike, whether it's the disastrous foreign policy in Ukraine, it's always convenient how we get distracted by something else, some other interests, some other foreign interests, some other foreign entanglements, and magically you forget about your own issues. Incredible how that happens. It's almost the most consistent thing in politics. In a world of inconsistency, that seems to remain consistent. We're always getting distracted by all of these foreign issues. But we will cover all of that, including some news out of China. We've got some economic news that also ties into China. The situation with ICE, this is a delicate one. And maybe you like this, maybe you don't, but this is what it is. It seems that on this issue with ICE and the strategies, let's say, the tactics, perhaps, that they're using to do the deportations, to round these people up, go into the houses, it seems like these things end up just becoming left-right divide. And some people can't appreciate finding the middle or the nuance of it, or they don't want to. They just want to jump to what they view as their team and just glob onto that opinion. We're going to try to cut the difference today. There's some new videos emerging from some of the recent deportation, the recent ICE efforts. Joe Rogan weighed in on it. So we're going to get into that a little bit today, as it seems that it's getting worse because of these protests now. And this is exactly the purpose. This was the purpose of the protests. This is what they wanted. And then they get their dead person, exactly what they wanted, and now they can ramp up the protest even more. So again, if Pam Bondi shuts this down, then we don't have these problems. But yet we have these problems because Pam Bondi won't shut this down. We've got some other odds and ends today. A no-show again from the Clintons. Not that anybody expected it any different, but we have to remind you that they no-showed. Wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't remind you of that.
This news update was brought to you by OwenSchroyer.store, the official site for Owen Report merchandise.
Okay, well, if you follow the news, then you're probably unable to avoid the headlines. Again today, silver at record prices, silver and gold commodities reaching the top of the charts. Gold continues to soar. It only seems to be going one direction. And if you're into these markets, or maybe more specifically, if you've been trying to purchase precious metals, you know it's getting even harder and harder to do. It's getting even harder and harder to do. So if you have fear of missing out, or if you're ready to assure your wealth with precious metals, you need to give our friends at Allegiance Gold a call or a visit to protectwithowen.com. Now, again, you can't avoid this news. If you're following the news every day, you're going to hear about silver. You're going to hear about gold. Okay, so that's a news story. But let's not think about the news story. Let's think about you. Do you have money in the bank? Do you feel confident having money in the bank? What about a bank run? What about the devaluation of the dollar? What are you doing about these concerns? Have you addressed it yet? Maybe you've got questions. That's why I've partnered with Allegiance Gold. They want to answer your questions. If you have these questions, curiosities, you're looking for answers, call them. 844-790-9191. 844-790-9191. Give them a call. Tell them I sent you. Or go to protectwithowen.com. Now, folks, Allegiance Gold, they've been a sponsor of the show for almost since the beginning. And when we first started telling you about this offer that they have, $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments, whether through your 401k, IRA, or savings, they make it simple. I said 3 months ago, that $5,000 is going to be a lot less weight really soon. And so here we are. It remains true. So if you're listening to this right now, in 3 months, probably still going to be true. That $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments, it's going to be a lot less weight in 3 months. So just think about it. Just give them a call. Just give them a call. They'll answer all your questions. Make sure you're well knowledgeable, you have a good understanding of this, and you're confident in your decision. 844-790-9191. Or just go to protectwithowen.com. That's protectwithowen.com. Protect your wealth and freedom with Allegiance Gold, because no one else will.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
How are we feeling, guys? How's everybody doing? How are we doing, guys? All right. How's everybody sleeping? How's everybody sleeping? Been having some problems. I can't tell if it's just my mind racing, if it's just the curiosity of all the wild political developments, civilizational developments. I don't know if it's the pressure we put on ourselves to succeed in these crazy times, or maybe it's just the full moon. Oh, wait, it's not a full moon. I don't know. Seems like a lot of people are in agreement. I'm bold right now. I have the chat open. I'm bold. I'm looking at your chat. I'm hearing it a lot from people, though. A lot of people talking about, maybe it's just life. You know, life is crazy. The stresses of life. But it does seem people are having trouble sleeping. You know, maybe that's just the interconnectedness of our souls here in this spiritual battle. It's like we can tell. we can tell. And I don't know if that's just a heightened sense of awareness or if that's some urge. It's like some urge that we need to be up doing something. Does seem though I'm not the only one. I will say that. But okay, I don't really have a monologue today, but we like to just let's just have a nice little soft launch today, because today's show is going to be heavy. It's not for the faint of heart. And I just have this, I feel this urge to remind you. It's like we need a constant reminder of this, because it gets lost in the sauce. It just gets lost in translation here, that pretty much everything you're seeing, specifically with the geopolitics, I do think we have to separate some of the domestic issues, some of the domestic policy, some of the stuff happening here nationally with the larger geopolitical issues, the foreign policy issues, the international affairs, the international theater. We do have to be able to differentiate, even though they're all tied together. We kind of have to observe and report on them in different ways. But it feels like it's so hard to believe what's happening, I guess, is what it is. It's so hard to believe what is happening. And now we see this thing with the Clintons. They're not going to get arrested, right? The Fauci thing. The Fauci thing is back in the news now because of what Rand Paul said on Joe Rogan yesterday. And it's just, we're so desperate. I was thinking about this too. It's like, we're so desperate. Is putting Bill or Hillary Clinton in prison really going to make any difference now? Probably not. They're done in politics. They have very little influence, if any at all. They're probably not involved in anything. But we're so desperate for any semblance of justice when it comes to the deep state that it's like just an arrest of Bill or Hillary or both for contempt of Congress would be like, it would finally scratch that itch. It would finally just scratch that itch. That's how desperate we are. That's how desperate we are. And we're going to have to deal with this ICE issue, folks. This ICE issue is not going away. This ICE issue, unfortunately, is not going away. So I guess let's just delve, shall we? Just delve into the news. Maybe. Let's do that. Let's just delve into the news here. All right. We start with Iran. It seems inevitable. At this point, it feels and seems inevitable. There will be some sort of an intervention in Iran for this regime change. Mostly, I think, because it would be so embarrassing. It would be really embarrassing for the coalition, let's say, of the United States and Israel that's been putting so much into this regime change for years now. Maybe more personally for Netanyahu than for Trump. See, I think Trump has enough political awareness to know that if they fail with the regime change war in Iran, that it doesn't really cost Trump anything. Sure, you'll have the Mark Levins crashing out, the Laura Loomers crashing out, and those types. But that's a tiny fraction of America. It's a tiny fraction of the right wing. It's an even smaller fraction of the American people. So I think Trump knows that. I think Trump knows failure to get regime change in Iran it's really not moving the needle for Americans. Most Americans are not interested in Iran and this astroturfing that it's the big cause, and this force of the propaganda to make you think it's, the biggest thing and that you need to care about it. It doesn't really work. Most Americans don't feel that way. But for Netanyahu, I think that this is part of what he views as his larger legacy, that perhaps he hopes to leave the greater Israel as his legacy. And he knows regime change in Iran is a very important aspect towards total dominance in the Middle East and maybe the world by Israel. And this is, I think, what Netanyahu looks at when he thinks about his legacy, what he wants to leave. I think these people that have been in politics this long, and even Trump, who's been in the spotlight this long, I think they're so consumed by narcissism, which you could even argue is a good thing to a certain extent. But I think they're so consumed by narcissism that it overwhelms their sense of what they're supposed to be doing and the people they represent and what is best for them or the planet even at large. And I think Netanyahu and Trump are both guilty of this, but it comes from a kind of a different energy. It comes from a different place. You know, I don't think Trump likes war. I don't think Trump likes the results of war and all the death and destruction. I think Netanyahu does, or is at least indifferent to it. But I think no regime change in Iran is a much bigger hit to Netanyahu's ego than it is to Trump's. So I think Trump doesn't mind kind of just skating along here, whereas Netanyahu's probably sweating bullets if this deal doesn't get done. U.S. military intervention in Iran may begin within 24 hours, European officials say. An unnamed Israeli official also said it appeared Trump had decided to intervene through the scope and timing, though the scope and timing remained unclear, and he'll keep it that way. Now, there are other signs that show something is building up, like this. Donald Trump deploys 3 missile-armed destroyers as strike imminent, threatened to hit Iran hard. Again, he was asked about this today at the White House. He didn't really commit to anything, but he's monitoring the situation. It was one of those deals. President Trump has sent 3 missile-armed destroyers to the Middle East amid reports that a strike on the country is imminent. And the excuse, of course, will be they are killing protesters. And I guess they're doing public executions now. It's hard to get the truth from the ground, folks. It's hard to get the truth. And I think that there's going to be a lot of truths. I think, people want to take this situation and they just want to say, this is the alleyway of truth and there's nothing else. I don't think it's that simple. I think that protesters are getting killed. I think that there are organic protests. I think that the Iranian people, that many of them out in the streets are organically protesting. They don't like the regime. I also think, just like we see in our country, there's a lot of propaganda that pushes these people out in the streets. If you boil it down to political paradigms, these are mostly left-wing protests. They're not showing the right-wing protests that would be in support of Khamenei. But there's organic people in the street. There's protesters getting killed. But then, of course, you have your foreign insurgents and your intelligence assets and agents that are in the streets. You have Mossad out there. And some of the accusations, again, who knows the real truth? I think there's a lot of truths. But it's being said, and it wouldn't surprise anybody if Israel is moving arms into these protests, arming these protesters. So then violence breaks out. Bullets go both ways. People get killed. It's also probably true that foreign insurgents have been caught by the Iranian regime and will probably be publicly killed, publicly executed. I think all of these things are true. I think there's a lot of ingredients in this stew, folks. It's not as simple as people would like you to think it is. And when you've got Trump and Netanyahu obviously backing this, maybe even the biggest forces behind it, urging the protesters to stay out. So all of these things I think are true. I think all of these things are true. There are real protesters that are out there protesting the regime, Iranians. There's obviously people that are propagandized into going out there and thinking that this is the cause that they believe in. There are innocent protesters getting killed by a corrupt government, by the regime. There are foreign insurgents on the ground that are probably fueling this protest more than anything else. They are probably arming protesters. Some of them have probably been caught and will be publicly executed. And I don't know, you could say, hey, we're not going to publicly execute spies or we're not going to publicly execute foreign insurgents, but Iran feels differently, obviously. So this is what they're going to do. So I think all of these things are true. And it's so hard. And I've got at least one video in the stack today from Iran, but it's so hard to determine what you're getting as far as the news from Iran is concerned. There have been internet blackouts. Starlink is kind of helping get some connection there. Some people are leaving the country and then they're able to get out and get internet and send messages back out to the world. And so it's a cacophony of different ingredients in this mess. But at the end of the day, it's a regime change war. It's a U.S. Israel-backed regime change war. That's what it is. And from Trump's perspective, and I think this will make more sense with some of the news out of China today. From Trump's perspective, look, you want to talk about Trump being controlled by the Israeli lobby? Totally fair. I'm not arguing against that. I agree with you. But Trump still acts pragmatically. He still acts pragmatically. And so from his mindset, regime change in Iran is good for his foreign policy because it helps him in the trade war against China, which you could argue he's losing badly. You could argue he's losing the trade war badly. So, okay, the Iran piece is a big piece on the board in the trade war against China, just like Venezuela. So, yeah, Israel has its interest. Netanyahu has its interest in Venezuela, in Iran. But so does Trump. And they both happen to be congruent. Now, I don't support any of it. I don't like any of it. I think there's other solutions where we don't need to get involved in regime change. And I'm still not sure if any of this is happening, if not for the Israeli lobby buying this administration and inserting their assets and agents into it. I'm not sure any of this is happening. But it is. It is happening. Now, I do find a couple things ironic, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I'm always looking for logical consistency. And the real numbers coming out of Iran, again, I don't know. You're getting mixed numbers. Who knows? But I do think it's ironic, a couple things. It's ironic that the same people that tell you there's no amount of dead Palestinians that's bad, every dead Palestinian, no matter the age, whatever, it's a good thing. It's their fault. So 100,000 dead Palestinians, it's all their fault. And no tears, not a single tear will be shed. But now you see what's going on in Iran, and whether it's 1,000 or 20,000, whatever the real number is, those are the people that you need to be concerned about and standing up for their human rights. So the Palestinians have no human rights, the Iranians do. So obviously there's no logical consistency there. You also hear about this debate, well, it's not a long-term regime change war. Well, you don't know that. We're not getting involved in larger World War III situation. Well, you don't know that. But here they are talking about the death in Iran. And I'm shaking my head and I'm saying, oh, so another Israel-backed, U.S.-backed regime change war is resulting in death? Oh, I see. There it is. And what did I always tell you about woke? Woke will always end up defending death. It is inevitable. Woke will always end up defending death. They'll always do it. So now, the Iranians that are dying because of this regime change war, we're not counting that, though. We're not counting that death. That death doesn't count. But that's what it is. The only reason they're out there dying is because America and Israel want a regime change in Iran. So they're out there as part of the pawns in this larger chess game, and now they're dying. So what do you know? So another effort at regime change in the Middle East is resulting in people dead. What do you know? We were right again. All right. So this is from a train, a metro in Iran. And of course, people are saying that this guy is probably a Mossad agent out there. Who knows? Could be an Iranian. There's plenty of Iranians that hate their government. Let's be honest. So this guy is on a train, and he's trying to gin up support to overthrow Khamenei. He's trying to gin up support or hatred for Khamenei in this video. And notice how nobody on the metro comes and chances with him. And then he ends up, he ends up getting a Spartan kick. Check it out. So there you go. Not so popular. I think one person on the crowded train decided to chant with him. Now, again, is that a Mossad agent or is that an Iranian doing it? Who knows? They obviously set that camera shot up. They said we're filming it, so could be for propaganda. Could be just somebody in Iran. But I would say I'd lean towards that being an agent, a propaganda agent, because the Iranians were supposed to believe they have no internet. So why would this guy be out here filming a video to share on social media in Iran if there's no internet? So that doesn't really add up. But there you go. Not so popular, huh? Not so popular. So figured you might as well see both sides of that angle, because the pitch in the West is that it's everybody against Khamenei, and the truth is it's split just like it is in America. And there's left-wing protests and right-wing protests. So there you go. Now, there was a major Jerusalem Post Israel conference. I don't know the official name of it. I think it was the Jerusalem Post conference, though. I believe this is what it was. We got a couple of clips from this, but this is the big tell. And this is why it's so frustrating when you're covering these issues and the brainwashed right or the propaganda right just refuses to exist in reality. So this is at the Jerusalem Post conference, and they're talking about what's going on in Iran, and they're saying what we all know, that this is a Western-backed, U.S., Israel-backed regime change, and they're going to get what they want. It's not up to the people of Iran. It's not up to the Iranian people or a government. It's not about democracy. It's about Israel asserting its way in the region and having the U.S. military as the backstop to do it. So they say this stuff publicly. They say all of this stuff publicly, but when you cover it on the right wing, the attacks start coming, the accusations start coming, even though it's their own words. So here you go. This is one clip from the conference. We've got another clip coming up later on in the show, but let's go to this one.
And today I can say something we couldn't have said a month ago. This regime is going down. There will be no Iranian regime. And this is going to change entirely the future of Israel.
Happen? Can you describe us? It will be an American attack. It
says this will change the future of Israel. So it's all about Israel.
Be an Israeli-American attack.
So I think it's going to be an American-led attack with the assistance of Israel. Iranians, even before the demonstration, they started rearming again. They wanted revenge. They want to attack us. They want to shoot massive amounts of ballistic missiles on us, and Israel prepared for a preemptive attack. But as Israel was preparing for a preemptive attack that might have happened even today, the demonstration started, and a clear message for President Trump: we are not going to let you shoot these demonstrators. We are going to defend them. And indeed, I think that we'll see in the very near future a massive American attack with the help of Israel and with the demonstrators. I think this regime stands no chance, and they will fall. And I can tell you, as I said, the bigger the win will be, the greater the golden age of Israel and the Jewish people will.
So there you go. So the whole regime change in Iran is all about benefiting Israel. Again, that's the Jerusalem Post conference. You just heard it right there. And it'll be a U.S.-Israel regime change war to benefit Israel. So there it is. They talk about it openly at the Jerusalem Post conference. There it is. And it's even funnier. I'm about to go to another report from Israeli media. You know, sometimes the best way to get the truth even out of what's going on in Israel and geopolitics is the Israeli media. You know? So it's kind of ironic. Again, it's like the whole pitch to the West is that everything goes this way and that's it. And it's not even true about Israel. Israel has a left. Israel has a right. Israel has Zionists. Israel has anti-Zionists. Israel has people that love Netanyahu. Israel has people that protest Netanyahu every day. It's not a one-way street here. And really, Israeli media will report on most of this stuff. So this is from a member of the Israeli media, Tamir Maraj, and he's reporting what is obviously happening. We reported tonight on Channel 14, this is in Israel, foreign actors are arming the protesters in Iran with live firearms, which is the reason for the hundreds of regime personnel killed. Everyone is free to guess who is behind it. So that's Israeli media telling the truth. Right there. Now, you have to understand why this all goes back to Ukraine. When Trump served his first 4 years, and the foreign policy of that administration was a lot better, and it wasn't controlled by the Israeli lobbyists. It was controlled by Trump. Definitely the influence, but it wasn't controlled like it is now. And so you didn't have all of the money and you didn't have all of the weapons being laundered into the Middle East for these proxy groups for the regime change wars. Trump cut it all off. And he starved the region. He starved the region. He starved the intelligence agencies. He starved the proxy groups to such an extent that when Biden got in there, they had to flood the zone. They had to flood the region. So they started flooding weapons and money into Ukraine that ultimately got laundered back into the Middle East. We did the Afghanistan withdrawal, which we all wanted out of Afghanistan, but that wasn't why they did it. They did it so they could leave all those weapons behind so that there would be a total overload of the zone with weapons and ammunition and everything else in the region. And so then what followed? Regime change in Syria. And now they're going to try for regime change in Iran. So that's how this works. That's how this works. So all of these different, terror cells, all of these different groups, they're all run, they're all armed, they're all funded by the intelligence agencies that Trump starved out in his first administration, that Biden rearmed and refunded through Ukraine and through Afghanistan. So that's why you're getting the regime change proxy groups back active in the Middle East. That's what's going on. Now, it seems, this is inevitable. I don't know what a strike will look like, but it seems something is inevitable here. And we're seeing signs in the West. Now we're seeing signs in Israel. Netanyahu's plane leaves Israeli airspace mysteriously. You got the doomsday planes in the air. Israel reported that the plane of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, known as the Wing of Zion, left Israeli airspace as part of a planned routine training exercise. They always say that. It's always a planned training exercise. It's a drill. Denying unconfirmed reports that suggested otherwise. Well, obviously, even if it is a drill, what are they training for? This comes amid reports claiming that due to concerns over a possible Iranian retaliatory attack against Israel, a Wing of Zion aircraft took off from Israel's Nevatim Air Base, though the reason behind the flight remains unclear. These heightened concerns follow U.S. President Trump's remarks last night, indicating an increasing inclination to carry out his threats to strike Iran if it harms protesters. I am curious what, if any, communication is happening between Iran and the Trump administration right now. I do wonder. I'm not hearing of any, by the way. Not hearing of any. Doesn't mean it's not happening, but certainly it's not public. Some personnel at key U.S. base in Qatar advised to evacuate as Iran official brings up earlier attack. So it looks like Israel is, preparing for a potential strike. It looks like the U.S. base in Qatar is preparing for a strike. Something is going on between Russia and Iran. Heavy airlift flights in operation between Russia and Iran. There's been 5 of these now. 5 of the 276 TD flights between Russia and Iran. Sanctioned states are using military-designed freighters on civilian registrations to move sensitive cargo by air, prioritizing speed, control, and deniability over cost, efficiency, and scale. Repeated flights between Russia and Iran demonstrate deliberate time-critical logistics with the carefully chosen routes, progressive payload sequencing, and civilian operators to reduce visibility while maintaining operational continuity. These state-driven airlift operations challenge regulators, insurers, and traditional air freight market models, signaling a structural shift towards using air transport as a strategic tool under political and maritime constraints. So, we can try to translate this here for you. The let's say the theory here, the conspiracy theory here, but I don't know if it's really that. I don't know if it's really that far-fetched to be considered a conspiracy theory. But the theory is that Russia is flying in weapons. Russia is flying weapons or something, some sort of defense capabilities, maybe communication technology. Russia is flying this into Iran, and then Iran is supposedly smuggling things out, like gold. And maybe that's because they think maybe somebody's coming for their gold, like at what has happened in other Middle East wars that the U.S. has been involved in. But so that's what people think is really going on with these 5 flights. Russia is delivering tech, defense tech, weapons, and Iran is sending back gold, whatever they're trying to get out before a potential regime change war starts. I don't think that's too far-fetched. Now, Russia and Saudi Arabia are trying to stop this from happening. Russia slams U.S. strike threats, warns against interference in Iran. So Russia and Putin are kind of not too aggressively here, not too boisterously, but they're standing up and puffing their chest up a little bit and saying, hey, can you please not do this? Did Russia's disastrous consequences threat stop Trump from helping Iran despite MEGA message? Russia warned the U.S. of disastrous global consequences over Donald Trump's comments supporting Iran protests. Well, I think it's more of threatening retaliation, calling Washington actions unacceptable interference. As the protests intensify and death counts rise, the U.S. hints at help, but appears to prioritize diplomacy over direct action. That's been the message. That is the only thing, as far as the communication between the Trump administration and Iran, the only thing we've heard is that they're trying for diplomacy. They're trying to take the diplomatic route. Now, we saw the sanctions that got announced, but they want the diplomatic route. Now, we know Israel doesn't want the diplomatic route. Israel wants to be able to pick up the phone, make a demand of the United States like they own us, and then we'd take military action at their behest. And Americans are getting rather sick of that, generally speaking. Maybe Trump has an awareness of this, maybe not. Maybe he cares, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't want to have a larger war. Because to me, that's what Putin is really saying. I don't think Putin is making some sort of a veiled threat to the United States, like they're going to get involved militarily or they'll have some sort of retaliatory action. I think they're saying, hey, look, we're all kind of walking a tightrope here. We're all kind of walking a tightrope here, and one foreign policy decision, one military decision, one regime change decision could shake the line and send us all off, and the next thing you know, you got a larger escalation and maybe World War III. To me, that's what Putin is saying. I don't think Putin is saying, hey, we're going to get involved militarily with you. I think he's saying, look, if you do this, with everything going on in Venezuela, now everything going on in the Middle East, Ukraine is still going on. You've got China over here. You've got India over here. You got a lot of moving parts here. This thing's hanging on a thread. This thing is hanging by a thread. Please, we don't want to risk World War III. Please, we don't want to risk nuclear confrontation. And to people that understand Russian politics, Putin is mild. Putin is mild compared to the people behind him. I guarantee you these people behind Putin and some of the military leadership, some of the generals, they're probably chopping at the bit with Vladimir, like, Vladimir, just take Ukraine. What are we waiting for? Now's the time. The U.S. is spread too thin. The U.S. is distracted. Venezuela, Iran, Greenland. Now's the time. Take it. Take it, Vladimir. No, too much death. No, we want diplomatic approach. And now getting involved in Iran, same generals are probably like, Vladimir, they're stabbing you in the back. You can't trust the West. They hate you. Stand with Iran. Stand with our allies. America had a chance to be friends. They didn't want us. Putin says, no, we want diplomatic. We don't want death. We don't want world war. That to me is Putin's restraint, quite frankly, that the West doesn't appreciate. But it's not just Putin now. The Gulf nation states, most loudly Saudi Arabia, Iran's Gulf rivals, these are not friends with Iran. Iran, to them, you look at the Muslim community in the Middle East, Iran to them represents kind of like the old guard. Khamenei and his regime kind of represent like the old guard, whereas the Crown Prince and Saudi Arabia and Qatar and the UAE, they kind of represent the new guard. They want to be flashy. They want to be cool. They kind of want to westernize it. They're not talking about bastardizing Islam. They're just saying, hey, some of the old ways, we're not really into that. We kind of like nice stuff. We kind of like nice infrastructure and nice planes and nice sprawling metropolis and downtown with fountains and tourist attractions. Like, we're kind of opening up to the world in that way. Whereas they look at the Iranian regime as kind of the old guard Muslims that are just like, we don't want anything to do with the world. We don't like the world. We don't trust the world. We think it's corrupt, everything. So we're going to isolate. And even Saudi Arabia and the Gulf nation states that represent the new guard for the Muslim leadership, even they are trying to stop this from happening. Saudi Arabia leading the charge to persuade Washington not to intervene. Iran's Arab rivals across the Persian Gulf, led by Saudi Arabia, have been lobbying the Trump administration against a strike on Tehran after the U.S. warned them to be prepared for such an attack. What a mess. What a mess. And I'm just here begging, like, I'm pathetic. I'm a pathetic American, all right? I'm a pathetic little pleb American, all right? Just begging for table scraps. Can you I know it's so pathetic, but can you just arrest the damn Clintons? Like, can you just give us something, man? And it's a little more personal, I think, for some of us here. I recognize why some of my beliefs are the way they are. And I don't even think it's my experience going through political persecution. I don't think that's really changed anything, but it has made it personal for me. So yeah, I'm sorry that I don't have the disdain or I don't have the interest for some corrupt leader in Iran. I'm more concerned about putting the people in prison that forced fellow Americans to take a lethal injection. I'm more concerned about putting people in prison that politically persecuted me and my friends and my political movement and put us in prison for speech and censored us and sued us and death threatened us and tried to have us killed. Now, I know most people that kind of just buy into the political movements and just ride with the wind, hop on the bandwagon. It's nice and comfortable to just support whatever Trump does, no matter what. It's nice and comfortable to go along with the establishment. And for them, it's not personal. It's not personal. They didn't get put in prison. They didn't get harassed. They didn't get sued. They didn't get censored. They didn't go through all of that. It is personal for me. I recognize that. But yeah, sorry, I'm not interested in the corrupt leadership of Iran. Not interested. I've got corrupt leadership here that's still running around. Now, before I get off on a tangent, let me just get back to the news. But it's like, this is why it's so crazy right now. Maybe this is why we're losing sleep. This is why it's so crazy right now that we're going through this. It's like we just did this. We just went through 4 years of the Biden administration, a year of Trump campaigning, and now we're 1 year into the administration, and it's like, what happened? I thought this was about draining the swamp. I thought this was about deep state arrest. I thought this was about make America great again. I thought this was about America and our interest and America first. And going after the corrupt DC criminals. And it's just, here we go, right back into the bad foreign policy, right back into the foreign lobby interest, right back into the special interest. But let me digress. Trump faces Venezuela war powers vote as Danish official says there's disagreement over Poland. Yeah, I mean, the Venezuela thing kind of went silent fast, didn't it? It's amazing, isn't it? What was it? Just 2 weeks ago. For about 2 weeks ago, Venezuela was the biggest thing in the world. Number one. Everybody needs to know. Everybody needs to see. Venezuela, 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 Venezuela. Biggest thing in the world. Now nobody even talks about it. Now nobody even talks about it. But yes, major meetings on Greenland today. Sounds like it didn't go so hot. Denmark sends military reinforcements to Greenland. Now, this is interesting. Maybe unexpected. An advanced contingent of Danish armed forces has arrived in Greenland, Danish broadcaster reported Wednesday, today. According to the report, Denmark is deploying military equipment and advanced troops to the island to prepare for the possible arrival of larger forces from the Danish army and other branches of the armed forces. Very interesting. Danish Defense Minister Troels Lund Poulsen said on Tuesday that the Danish government is committed to establishing a more permanent and larger military presence for Denmark, and it's called NATO allies in and around Greenland. He described the move as a clear response to the challenges facing the Arctic. Okay, Denmark. Denmark's standing up now. Denmark wants to make this more difficult. I expressed my concerns, even with my own support of taking Greenland. I expressed those concerns yesterday by seeing the party, the people I'm in bed with now, I guess, policy-wise, that I virtually disagree with on everything else. People that I think are the most despicable characters in politics, like Randy Fine, and the people that are going to be moving into Greenland to basically to steal all the resources right out of the gates. So I have my concerns. I still look at this as a positive. I still don't see the downside. But I have to say, now that Denmark decides they're going to show some teeth here, it does start to change. It does start to change some things. I didn't think Denmark was going to growl like this. I didn't expect Denmark to put some guttural growl in response to what the U.S. is wanting to do there. Now, maybe there's a diplomatic thing here too. They've apparently put out a price. I don't know. Yeah. For whatever this is worth, no pun intended. Buying Greenland could cost as much as $700 billion. I bet you they would take that deal still. Because of the resources and everything and the trade, it'll pay for itself in no time. The estimate is part of planning around Trump's effort to bring Greenland into the U.S., with Secretary of State Marco Rubio tasked with crafting a proposal to purchase the semi-autonomous Danish territory. Now, this was all before the meeting today. You see, this was published first thing this morning. So this is all before the meeting today. So it sounds like somebody got some inside information as far as what the approach was going to be. So somebody put the price on it, but it sounds like Denmark is just no. I don't think Denmark is wavering on this at all. And they showed up to the table, but probably just to say no. Now, I don't think either party is interested in a military confrontation. But Denmark is now saying, maybe they're expressing, well, maybe there will be one, if that has to be the case. So this is a deal now where it looks like we probably moved too slow. If there was a plan to acquire Greenland by hook or by crook, it looks like we moved too slow. So it's going to be a little more difficult to do now. Should it be something that they commit to? But I'm looking at this saying, if this offers us a way out of NATO, then it's worth it just for that alone. And it seems maybe Trump is starting to lean that way. Trump issues stern warning to NATO ahead of Vance's high-stakes Greenland meeting. President Trump urges Denmark to get Russia and China out of Greenland. 2 dog sleds won't do it. Well, what is the real involvement of Russia and China in Greenland? I don't know. You got to accept, Trump just kind of says stuff. Trump just makes stuff up, actually. I'm sorry. He just does, guys. It's just part of his tactic. It's part of his communication tactics. Like he said something today about Ford. He said something today from the White House, from the Oval Office about Ford. And I just, I follow the markets. I follow Ford stock. We cover economic news dealing with Ford. And he said something about Ford and truck sales or something. And it's just like, he just made it up. He literally just makes stuff up. But it's all marketing. It's all, it's all public perception. So I don't know. What is Russia and China's real involvement in Greenland versus is Trump just saying this? He just saying this because he can. The United States needs Greenland for the purpose of national security, Trump wrote in a Truth Social post today. He added that the acquisition was vital for the Golden Dome that we are building. Oh, I hate this. The Golden Dome is a cutting-edge missile defense system meant to intercept threats targeting the American homeland, similar to the Iron Dome used in Israel. This is the most scary thing. And, we've got the incoming AI surveillance and all the crap that's coming with that. So nobody's really talking about that big existential threat, that big issue. The Golden Dome, folks, this is like, and I know it seems so counterintuitive, right? Because you're like, well, this is national defense. Why would you be against national defense? Well, it's a little more nuanced than that. It's a little deeper than that. Why do we as a country, after 250 years, feel the need for a Golden Dome? Why does Israel have the need for the Iron Dome? And then you connect the dots and you realize, oh, so we're just living in Israel now. And because of Israel's aggression and unpopular foreign policies, unpopular actions in their region of the world, now the United States has to deal with the same crap. So now the United States is going to act as Israel does, angering the entire world to such an extent that people are going to want to try to bomb us and kill us with missile strikes. That's the message this sends to me. Do you want to live in Israel? Because that's what this will be. Now that you have the Zionists running foreign policy and angering the entire world, just like they do in Israel, to the degree that Israel needs the Iron Dome defense system because they piss off all their neighbors all the time, now that's going to be our reality? And these things, when you build them, these things tend to find a way to become a necessity, especially when money's involved and profit is involved. They'll find a way to use it. They'll find a way to make sure it's utilized because they're all making billions of dollars. This is one of the scariest things, I think, really, when you weigh this next to the AI, when you're talking about the future of America, when you're talking about the existential threats to America's way of life and safety, this is one of the biggest ones, folks. This, to me, is the red flag. You now live in Israel. You now live in Israel where you need a golden dome for national security because our foreign policy and the death and destruction that it causes around the world is going to anger so many people that they're going to start firing missiles at us just like they do in Israel. So yes, this is like the ultimate proof, really, in a way, that you live in the United States of Israel, that we have to have a golden dome, just like Israel does. Well, why does Israel need a golden dome? Because all of their neighbors are sick of them and want to blow them up. And now that's the case for us. Now we have to live that fate. Now the American people have to live that. Sorry, that proposition is a little frightening for me. I don't like it, but the deal is probably already done. So now what's next? Are we going to have to start building bomb shelters too? Are we going to start to have to increase air defense warnings and bomb shelter operations and access, which we have none of? Where are you going to go? Is this our new way of life? We're just going full on. We're just going to live as the Israelis live. Is this what they want to do to us? Is this what the foreign lobbyists want to do to us? Is this what the Israeli lobby wants to do to us? Sounds like it. Sounds like the deal's already done. And we need Greenland. How much of this, though, has to do with China and Trump's trade war with China, which he's probably losing. I don't know if it's a blowout, but he's not winning it. And then the Supreme Court decision could be the ultimate determining factor on where it goes. China's record trade surplus defies expectations for tariff-driven slowdown. Export growth of 5.5% helped power surplus from 1.2 trillion in 2025, despite fall in exports to the U.S. So the China trade surplus grew despite Trump's trade war. It grew. And what do you think about this? What does this tell you? Let's just lay it all out. Current situation. Stocks, record high. Gold, record high. Silver, record high. Home prices, record high. Copper, record high. Platinum, record high. Money market funds, record high. U.S. debt, record high. Deficit spending, record high. Household debt, record high. When everything hits a record high at the same time, it's not a coincidence. Fiat currencies are depreciating. There you see it, folks. You might want to act accordingly.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
All right, guys, you may have heard about this. You may have even been a victim of this, an Instagram data breach reportedly exposed the personal information of 17.5 million users. The leak includes usernames, email addresses, phone numbers, and more. Now, this is something that is happening, unfortunately, quite a bit. This is something that is, with the internet age, the internet era, the digital era, all of a sudden, your private information online that you store, whether it's passwords, bank account numbers, credit card numbers, social security numbers, all of these different things, they're now at risk online, including your home address, your family's home address. So we want you to prepare for this. We want you to have some form of protection against this new threat that everybody is going to have to deal with. So we urge you to go to patriot-protect.com/Owen. Now, this is a service I utilize because I unfortunately learned the hard way about my private information being online. Specifically, that led to my doxing, swatting, death threats, and other such things to me, my home address, and my family. Harassment of even my family. This is the stuff that patriot-protect.com can do for you. Go to patriot-protect.com/Owen. You can get more information, learn about their packages. And it's something, again, folks, it's something that if you don't have it now, eventually it's going to become as common as house insurance, a security camera at your doorbell, whatever. It's going to be as common as that. By the way, right now, all Patriot Protect plans, you can get 15% off with coupon code Owen. You heard that correct. All Patriot Protect plans, 15% off right now with coupon code Owen. But here's the best part. It's an ongoing protection plan. So you sign up at patriot-protect.com/Owen. They do the first sweep of the internet to remove all of the sensitive private information that you don't want out there, that you never consented to being out there. They remove it, and then they have a 24/7 around-the-clock search and destroy protocol to make sure that it never pops up again, or if it does, it is immediately removed. Take advantage of this right now, folks. 15% off with coupon code Owen at patriot-protect.com/Owen.
Political light years ahead of the rest. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
you're watching here on the side screen some of the media covering the recent ICE protests, response from ICE. It's getting worse, folks. There's no denying it. It's getting worse. And it's one of those issues that they try to boilerplate it down to you're either on the right or you're on the left, and there's no nuance, there's no gray area, there's no in the middle. Well, I don't really agree with that. But this is, it's sensitive when you consider all the things at stake. It's sensitive when you consider the deportations are necessary, but so is protection of the First Amendment. And I just look right at Pam Bondi and I just say, what are you doing, Pam? This should have been shut down. If you shut down the organizers, if you shut down the funders of these protests, then none of this is a problem. But Pam Bondi, just an abysmal, just a total disaster. I mean, it's just pathetic. It's really just pathetic. And now, well, we'll start with this one. And we'll get back to the ICE protests. FBI searches home of Washington Post journalists in a leak investigation. It is exceedingly rare, even in investigations of the unauthorized disclosure of classified information, for federal agents to search a reporter's home. Oh, well, they'll call it political, but when the Democrats do it, they don't seem to have a problem with all of that. So, I don't like this. We'll see what the end result here is. But this is authoritarian stuff from the Trump administration. It is. So I understand what they're doing, and they're trying to find leakers or, get to the source of where they're getting this information. And so that's what they're doing. We'll see if this results in anything too serious other than the raid. But yeah, when the Democrats raid us and arrest people and politically persecute, nobody seems to mind. Lois Lerner, the IRS, we could go on and on. But here the Trump administration is doing it. FBI agents searched the home of a Washington Post reporter on Wednesday as part of a leak investigation, a significant escalation in the Trump administration's tactics in seeking information from the news media. It is exceedingly rare, even in investigations of classified disclosures, for federal agents to search a reporter's home. Yeah, normally we protect the rights of journalists to report this stuff and be free from government harassment. A 1980 law called the Privacy Protection Act generally bars search warrants for reporters' work materials unless the reporters themselves are suspected of committing a crime related to the materials. And I guess Edward Snowden felt similar pressure. That's why he fled the country. The Washington Post reporter Hannah Nathanson had spent the past year covering the Trump administration's effort to fire federal workers and redirect much of the workforce towards enforcing his agenda. Many of those employees shared with her their anger, frustration, and fear with the administration's changes. Not such a good look. FBI executes search warrant at Washington Post reporter's home. Okay. Trying to find leakers. Usually we stand up for the journalists in this case. Usually we consider that un-American, and we protect the journalists in this case. But, maybe Trump is getting advice from Netanyahu on this, Maybe that's where the advice is coming from. By the way, what's going on in Venezuela? Nobody's talking about it. We can't take it anymore. Thousands flee guerrilla clashes on Colombia-Venezuela border. Apparently, there's some heightened tensions here, folks. It's a vacuum right now. Caracas shakeup could intensify violence in Catatumbo in Colombia, an area rich with cocoa crops, cocaine laboratories, and a porous border with Venezuela. So we just went in there, swooped up Maduro, left a power vacuum, and what do you know? It's getting violent, and it's destabilizing. What do you know? So we'll keep an eye on Venezuela and specifically that border. Now, getting back to the ICE situation. So I've got all these videos. I'll put one on the screen here, but you can see them. It's not like there's any shortage of it. You got these ICE agents, and they're out there, and they're trying to conduct search warrants, deportation orders, do their job. And now the left-wing protests have fired back up. They're well-funded. They're well-organized again. They finally got what they wanted, a dead body to lift up as their martyr and to use as the new way to fuel these protests and get energy behind these protests. So they're out in the street again today, blocking ICE. I look at it like this. I don't like seeing this in our streets. I don't like it. I'll be honest. I don't like it. Maybe people on the right do. Some people celebrate it. They like it. And, fine, whatever. If you want to do the whole, polarization, left versus right thing, and it's just, we're owning the libs and we're owning the commies and the dirty protesters and, okay. If you want to kind of get into that level of politics, political brutality, whatever, I'm not, that's not my style. I'm not going to make a big fuss about it. And then, of course, you have the left that just, what do you got to say? What are you going to say about the left that hasn't already been said? Everybody knows what it is. But no, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like seeing this on our streets. It's very authoritarian. It's very Gestapo. Now, at the same time, I have to sit here and recognize I don't know what else you do. I don't know what else you do if you're ICE, folks. I don't know what the alternative here is, because we got to have the deportations. We have to. And yeah, it is going to be ugly. We just had an invasion of our country. It's going to be ugly to try to reverse this. And it doesn't help when you have these left-wing groups that are funding and organizing these protests so that ICE can't do their job. So I don't know what else ICE is supposed to do in this situation. So it's like, I don't like it. It doesn't look good. It's authoritarian. It's Gestapo, whatever. It's okay to say that, guys. It's okay to see this in our country and not like it. That's okay. That doesn't mean you're a liberal. That's okay. That means you're a human. That means you care. But at the same time, I don't know what else you do if you're ICE. I really don't. I don't know what else you do than to get these goobers off the streets. I don't know. I don't know what the alternative here is, because we can't let the left terrorists win. They can't win. We can't say, okay, fine, we're not doing deportations. We can't say, okay, fine, law enforcement won't do their job. Absolutely not. But there was this video that went viral. It was in Minnesota. ICE is executing a warrant. And you got to understand, the left-wing lunatics in the street, it's like that risk factor is low compared to the person who they might be trying to deport that's a gang member and that they know has violent criminal records. So there's this video, they're serving a warrant. They're in Minnesota, and I mean they're armed up. And there's about a dozen of these agents, and they kick the door in. They've all got guns. I mean, fully SWAT gear. And it's like, oh, my God, look at this. It's so bad. Oh, army in the streets, militarization. Hey, I'm with you. I have the same concerns. What is ICE supposed to do, folks? What are they supposed to do? Again, the left-wing goobers, that's low risk. ICE is going into known gang members, gang bangers, violent criminals' homes to deport them. What are they going to go in with, a feather duster? What are they going to go in holding, a flower? Do you want them to have a bouquet? Do you want them to maybe have some balloons? Should we have them take some balloons there? Give them some balloons? What is ICE supposed to do? What are they supposed to do? You got a bunch of left-wing goobers in the streets blocking their operations. What are they supposed to do? And this story is going viral. You may have seen the video. Young kid gets shot in the face with a non-lethal Anti-ICE protester blinded by federal agent during demonstration in Santa Ana, California. It's a nasty video, guys. It doesn't look good. So his friend is getting in the face of ICE agents. I saw the video. It's just like the woman that got herself killed. She was warned. She didn't cooperate. Same thing happens. This kid is getting in an ICE agent's face. He's starting crap. The ICE agent says, you better knock it off. You better knock it off. You better knock it off. He doesn't knock it off. He gets arrested. His friend decides he's going to charge after the police, and then he gets shot with a non-lethal in the face. He's blind. So again, I don't like seeing this. I'm not celebrating this. I'm not becoming tribal and barbaric like, yeah, get the left, which would be very easy for me to do. But I don't know what else you're supposed to do. I don't know what else you're supposed to do. And you know what? You make your own decisions in life. Okay? You make your own decisions in life. And if you decide you're going to go to one of these protests and you haven't set your own boundaries and you haven't gone through it in your own head about, okay, what am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do? Or, hey, how do I go out here and make sure I don't get myself arrested or shot or in some trouble, then you're probably going to end up in trouble. And so that's what happens. And so this young guy charges after ICE agents, gets hit with a non-lethal in the face, and now he's blind. That sucks. That sucks. And this kid, he's brainwashed. He's brainwashed by leftist propaganda. He's brainwashed by anti-ICE enforcement propaganda. That's what this is. It should have all been shut down by Pam Bondi. She hasn't done it. So it's only going to get worse. I don't know what else you're supposed to do. The ICE agents, they're just supposed to have no dignity at all. ICE agents are human too. So ICE agents are supposed to just sit there and get spat on and attacked and ridiculed. And it's just like, it's ridiculous. They're not having conversations. They're not civil. They're out there screaming and spitting and attacking. And they've been doing it for a year. So I don't know what else. I just don't know what the alternative here is for ICE. So, hey, I don't like seeing it. I don't like seeing the streets, militarized, however you want to phrase it. I don't like the tactics, but I'm also a realist. I don't know what the alternative is. The deportations have to happen. This is their job. We need the deportations. This is their job. They're the ones doing it. And the left wing has been brainwashed into going out there and committing crimes trying to stop law enforcement. Now, you can say, well, that's their First Amendment right. Okay. But when you break the law and you disrupt a law enforcement operation, you're getting arrested. Now, you can fight that in court, but you're getting arrested. And if you resist arrest or get physical with the officers, see, now you've made a potentially fatal mistake. And that's the reality. But again, I just look at Pam Bondi. And I say, you were supposed to stop this. And really, ICE, quite frankly, ICE needs to have some more vocal leadership about this. Maybe it's Kristi Noem. Somebody has to stand up and make a public statement about Pam Bondi's inaction. It has to be done. It has to be done. There needs to be pressure from within now against Pam Bondi. The pressure from the outside world, which is, most of MAGA is against Pam Bondi at this point. Pam Bondi's polling at like 20% approval right now inside of Trump support. So it's not like there's any public support for Pam Bondi. So the public's already sick of her. The voters are already sick of her. So she's still in there, I think, as a scapegoat, quite frankly, because it's easy to blame her for everything, even if it is a fair blame to be placed on her, like in this situation. No, I'm looking now. It's time for Kristi Noem to make a public statement and say, you know what? Come on, Kristi, doll it up. Doll it up. Put on whatever Ice Barbie outfit you want to put on. Go into the wardrobe and pull out your favorite Ice Barbie outfit, doll it up, and say, hey, you know, we're getting a little frustrated that our ICE agents are still having to deal with this. This was supposed to be shut down. We were told by the Department of Justice, we were told by the Attorney General that they were going to stop this, that they were going to find who was funding and organizing these protests, and they were going to shut it all down, and they haven't. And now our ICE agents' lives are at risk. The protesters' lives are at risk. We need some action here. We need Pam Bondi to do something about this. It's getting too late in the game. So that's what needs to be done now, because this is just outrageous. And it's only getting worse, by the way. And let's also remind ourselves, you do, well, take it with a grain of salt, because some people don't think their elections mean anything and they're all rigged anyway. So, okay, that's fair concern. So some of you will discount this next point entirely based off of that belief system. But, you know, people do still vote, and we're supposed to have elections here that count. So people do still vote. And there was a new poll, a new study that younger people are identifying as independent more than ever. And I think you can, you know, that's mostly, they were identifying as Trump supporters, but now they feel betrayed by Trump. So they're identifying as independent. They feel disenfranchised with the Republicans. So now they're identifying as independent politically. Well, there's a lot of independents out there. And you know what? A lot of them don't like what they're seeing with ICE. And we can have this conversation and lay it all out, but most people aren't having this conversation. They're not thinking about it like this. They don't understand the depth. They don't understand the details. They just look at the TV every night, and it's fully body armored, militarized ICE agents beating up Americans in the streets. So that's all they see. That's just a reality, folks. That's a reality, and these people vote. Joe Rogan criticizes ICE tactics. Are we really going to be the Gestapo? The influential podcaster who endorsed Trump in 2024 has been increasingly critical of the president's mass deportation strategy. So this to me, it's unfair. Because what other option does ICE have? What is ICE supposed to do? They have to do their job. We have to have the deportations. And these protesters are intentionally trying to get in the way and scuttle these efforts. What else is ICE supposed to do, especially when they resist arrest and disobey orders from law enforcement? Folks, I get it. It's not pleasant. I've done this. Sometimes you're going to get arrested. And if you want to resist, you're going to get beat up or worse. So when you put yourself in a position, you got to be smart. And sometimes you say, yeah, I'm going to jail. And then I'll fight them in court. And I might spend a night or a couple nights in jail, and I'll fight them in court. But that's how you avoid getting shot. That's how you avoid turning it into a larger issue. But see, my point is that, you know, Rogan probably represents that centrist, that independent that maybe doesn't look into the depth or the fine detail of these things, just sees the TV and what he's seeing and says, boy, I don't like this. But that's why the communication from Noam needs to be stronger. And that's why the pressure on Bondi needs to be increased, because it's outrageous. It's outrageous that this stuff still goes on. Truly outrageous. But that's going to be the public perception. And that's why the left-wing media, that's why the propaganda media does it, folks, because they know that's going to be the perception. They're just going to turn the TV on. Oh, and it's the local news. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the local news big time. And they're still running the propaganda. So they're going to make sure you see it every single day. They're going to make damn sure that you see the ICE arrests, mauling, shooting, whatever. They're going to make sure you see that every single day. And they're never going to tell you why it's happening. They're never going to tell you who ICE is arresting. They're never going to tell you about how ICE is getting into gunfights with Venezuelan gang members trying to kill them, run over by cars. Remember, folks, the origin, the genesis of all of this, go back Maybe not a year because Trump wasn't inaugurated till January 20th of last year. You're almost at a year, but go back, a year more or less. And recall, when they first started doing these operations, remember, the left was out in the streets. They were throwing rocks at ICE agents. They were throwing frozen water bottles at ICE agents. They were throwing rocks and other projectiles and fireworks towards ICE agents' vehicles, throwing them through their windows. This has been going on for since this operation started. And Pam Bondi, once this started happening, said, we're going to shut it down, and she hasn't done it. And now you've given the propaganda media exactly what the left wing wanted. A dead body in the streets and the videos and images of brutality against American protesters. Where is Pam Bondi? But really, where is Pam Bondi? She's not going on Fox News anymore. I don't see her on Fox News anymore. Where is she? What is she doing? It's like a missing persons alert for Pam Bondi. Maybe, I know where Pam Bondi is, actually. I know where Pam Bondi is. I know why we're not seeing or hearing from Pam Bondi, because she's at her desk. And everybody knows when things are on Pam Bondi's desk, they disappear into the abyss. They disappear into oblivion. So Bondi must be on her own desk right now. She's just gone. Nowhere to be found. No public statements, nothing. She'll pop up on Fox News eventually, I'm sure. Yikes. You know what I mean? So I just anticipate that that's going to continue. I anticipate that's going to continue, folks. Because there's no sign of movement from Pam Bondi. None. None, zilch, zero, not up. All right. We can get movement out of you, though, guys. We need to get some movement here. If you haven't done this already, time is running out at mypatriotsupply.com/Owen. Time is running out. Now, I could tell you about the power outages that we've seen from extreme winter in America. We've had it here in Texas before. It was a total disaster. It was fatal for some people. It's happening in Europe. It's happened in Germany, some eco-terrorism. So no matter what the case is, you end up in the same situation. No power. No power. No way to get food or emergency supplies. So you need to be prepared. The My Patriot Supply Winter Prep Special. Folks, there's only a limited amount of time left on this special. And if you scan the barcode on the screen right now, that'll take you right to the link, and you can see all the different items, the emergency food supplies and the other emergency supplies. You can see all the items in here. All you got to do is scan the barcode on the screen or go to mypatriotsupply.com/Owen. Now, we're talking about water filtration. We're talking about emergency food, other emergency supplies. But the real buzz here, the real excitement at My Patriot Food Supply is the Vesda Space Heater, the Vesda Off-Grid Space Heater. It is a game changer. It's a space heater that doesn't use electricity or propane. It runs on canned heat, which is an indoor safe fuel. And with a Vesda stashed in your closet, you know you can keep warm no matter what the situation. And it even doubles as a stove that you can use to cook food with. You think about that? How are you going to cook food in an emergency? The answer? The Vesda Off-Grid Space Heater from My Patriot Supply. So time is limited on this package, folks, that includes the Vesda Space Heater and so much more. All you got to do is go to mypatriotsupply.com/Owen or scan the barcode on the screen. Find out what is in this winter preparedness kit. Time is limited on this, folks. Time is limited. So take advantage of this special before it's gone.
You found your political compass, the Owen Report.
Okay, we're halfway through the show today. Halfway through the show, almost through all the content for today's show, the news, the videos. We do have some left in the stack here. Probably be able to do this before we close out the second hour, which means we'll have more time for your super chats, more time for your phone calls should we open the phone lines. I think this is the next big winning political move if someone dares to take it. Now, there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk, but little action. Specifically Florida, now Missouri. Nationwide tax competition heats up as Missouri governor calls for zero income tax. Zero income tax, zero property tax. Hey, don't get me started. You know I want to cut like all the taxes. I would just do a sales tax. That's all I would have. A simple sales tax. And I think it solves everything. The sales tax pleases everybody because it cuts taxes. It could be a small percentage of a sales tax. So you don't get paid for you don't have to pay the government to own things. You don't have to pay the government to make money. You're allowed to make money without the government taking it. You're allowed to owe things without the government taking it. And you satisfy the left that wants to tax the rich because the rich buy the most stuff. They make the most expensive sales and transactions, so they pay the most taxes. So I think it works for everybody. 1%, 2%. 2% probably, 3% would be the max, but that's what we really need. But okay, just so people understand before you start screaming at me about taxes. Let's see what happens here in the midterms and then maybe even leading into the presidential elections. Eventually, people that actually want to get elected are going to run on these policies. They're going to run on these policies. Cutting income tax, cutting property tax, and maybe it's easier to do at the state level if you're trying to run for governor or the local level. But this is a winning strategy. People will vote. If you can lay it out very clearly and easy to understand and make sure everybody you can communicate it well, good public relations, good PR, this is a winning issue. People on the left and people on the right will go and vote just to have their taxes cut. As long as it's a significant number that they're going to see as soon as the policy goes into place. So let's see Missouri. Let's see Florida. I'd like to see President Trump have our back on all of this, but he's gone kind of silent there. So, okay, we talked about this yesterday. Trump is at the Ford plant. Somebody yells, hey, pedophile protector, or whatever it was, and then he flips him off. So I guess it's now confirmed that Trump did flip the guy off. Now I don't know how you can really. It's going to be tough to defend Trump in this regard because of the Epstein list and, you know, the victims being the ones that were the clients, you know, the whole thing. So I just don't know really how you can defend that. But then Trump does the middle finger. Now, this is the individual at the Ford plant. This is the image that's going everywhere. He's got the pit vipers on, which tells me he's probably a right-wing dissident. That's kind of an unofficial trademark of right-wing dissidents is those sunglasses there, the pit vipers. UAW worker at Ford factory on Trump flipping him off after he called him a pedophile protector. He says, definitely no regrets whatsoever. This sounds like a right-wing dissident to me. Now, people are saying he's a Freemason, and this whole thing is some Freemason stunt. Well, I'm just giving you all the news. I'm not really not buying into that, but whatever. There you go. So we're reporting on that too. But I guess this is the enhanced image. It was a middle finger. Now here's what's interesting to me. Of all the protests, of all the different protests and all the stuff that Trump has, come face to face with and all of it, this one seems to get at him the most. This one seems to get under his skin more than anything else, more than any of the accusations. This one seems to dig at him the most, which to me is significant. I can't help it. I look at the psychological angle. To me, that's significant. Why would Trump, who's always collected, as far as emotional outbursts are concerned, you don't really see it. And despite all the protests, the fake news, everything, he's always, he's never aimed an attack, say, at an American, a bystander. So why now? Why was Trump triggered over the pedophile protector claim? Now, I even maybe I'm overreaching here, but I don't know. Human psychology to me is a big tell. To me, it's a big tell because your psychology in some way, shape, or form is connected to everything you think, everything you do, your reactions, your decisions. Your psychology is tied into all of this. So as we're all sitting here watching this administration, kind of scratching our heads at times, shaking our heads at times, hanging our heads at times, looking up and then maybe thinking there's hope. You've got Trump, Q posting all the time now, and people are just like, all right, what the hell's going on? And I think a moment like this is a moment of clarity, quite frankly. I think it's a moment of clarity because to me, that is a man who is not confident on that issue. If you're having an outburst at a protester, which you've been dealing with for 10 years, or maybe even longer as a, Playboy billionaire in the spotlight, New York City brawler, real estate mogul, you're not getting triggered by such petty things. And yet, for some reason, this one guy telling him he's a pedo protector, and he gets triggered enough, he flips him the bird as he's being walked around the Ford plant as the president. Now, I don't really care about it. It's like, whatever. He flips the guy a bird. Oh, my gosh. It's not a big issue to me, but it's more the psychological tell that this triggers Trump more than anything else. It tells me he's not confident with this. He's not confident with it. He sees that his normal swag, his normal aura, swag, dominance, whatever it is, he's not able to win people over. He's not able to clear this hurdle of the Epstein cover-up. And it seems like this thing triggers him more than anything else. Remember, we're at the White House. A reporter asks about it, the original crash out. And then the crash out continues, and then he attacks his supporters, and he attacks the press, and he attacks everybody that brings it up. It's the only issue where Trump shows weakness. It's the only issue. It's the only issue that continues to get under his skin and break his psychology and break his calm and break his demeanor. No other issue does that. Only the Epstein issue. And so to me, the tell is it shows he's not confident on the issue. He knows that it's a losing side he's on. But to me, and I'm not a Q believer, but the president is posting Q now, so okay, we got to cover it. To me, if this is a man who's doing everything for some shadow white hat, patriots are in control, trust the plan movement, he's not flicking a guy off that calls him a pedo protector because his last laugh is going to be when he arrests all the pedos. So folks, it's not happening. It's not happening. And maybe nobody told him how serious people were about this. Maybe he misunderstood how much people cared about this issue. Or maybe he's just backed into this position where he's having to defend his friends, members of his administration, members of the intelligence community, whatever it is. He's in this position to defend them on the Epstein list, and he can't He can't break that defense pattern. And so every time you bring it up, he just gets mad and you won't listen to him and shut up about it. And the victims are the clients, folks. The victims are the clients. And it's totally confirmed now, by the way, because the way they're looking at this internally, if they ever release the files, they're all in violation of law. Pam Bondi probably should be arrested. What they're saying is, and this is just a crude example, just let's say pull it out of a hat. But what they're saying is, oh, okay, well, you were with Epstein wherever. You were with Epstein at a party, wherever you were with Epstein. And maybe he's with Ghislaine, or maybe he's with some other women, or maybe he's with Trump. And you meet him and, you're hanging out, having a good time, having a laugh, maybe having a drink, whatever. And he's, oh, well, hey, we're going to the island tomorrow. Actually got a couple extra seats on my plane. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Cindy over there. She'll be there. Sure. Hey, why don't you go over there, talk to my assistant, Ghislaine, and we'll get you lined up. Come on the plane. Yeah, okay. You're on the plane. Oh, Cindy's on the plane. Yeah, Cindy. And Cindy's got a little friend. Okay. Oh, very flirty, very nice, very fun. Well, she's, she's not 18, but you don't know that. You don't know that. She looks like she could probably be 18, and you're on a private flight with friends. You're comfortable, maybe a little intoxicated. Now you're on the island. Inhibition is gone, and that girl that's been really flirty with you, you don't know how old she is, and now all of a sudden you're in a compromising position. Well, they say you're the victim. You're the victim, and now you're on tape, and now you're blackmailed, and so you're the victim in this circumstance. That's their logic, and that's why you're never going to get it. Now, you can believe these people are victims or knowing clients or whatever. I'm just telling you that's the mindset of the administration. That's the mindset of the White House. That's why you're never going to get any of this. And whenever they talk about protecting the victims, that's who they're talking about. They're not talking about the women. Now, this whole thing is eventually going to reach a head. It's eventually going to reach a head because there is so much public pressure. There are people in Congress that are going to continue to turn the screws on this. And then there's going to be the women that are going to decide how often they want to make public statements and what they want to say. But he'll never be able to shake it. And maybe that's why it's so frustrating for him. He'll never be able to shake it. He'll never be able to shake it now as the pedo protector because of this. He'll never be able to shake it. Now, if I'm advising Trump, I would say, okay, Mr. President, do you want to shake this Epstein thing? Do you want to shake this Epstein thing, and do you want to shake the pedo protector moniker that is sticking to you? Because it's sticking, and he knows it, and he's bothered by it, and that's why he flicks the guy off. I'd say, all right, Mr. President, here's what you need to do. You need to have maybe a private investigator, maybe a team, and I'd say, and a PR strategy, and you need to go back and bring back into the fold the Anthony Weiner laptop. You need to bring back into the fold the Hunter Biden laptop, and you need to bring back into the fold the WikiLeaks emails that brought about Pizzagate. And you need to have somebody, and maybe keep a degree or two of separation away from it, but have somebody really dig into it, really make a public spectacle of it. And then you can move in, whether it's the Weiner laptop or something else, and say, well, looks like we need to have an investigation. Because that's the real dirt. Quite frankly, that's where they're talking about minors. That's where they're talking about children. That's where they're talking about spirit cookings and all the pedophile coded language. So there's your out. You want to avoid the pedo protector moniker? You want to avoid the crash and burn of the Epstein cover-up? Go back after Pizzagate. Make a giant public spectacle of it. Show people the WikiLeaks emails. I mean, think about it. Think about President Trump at the Oval Office. You know, we had an incident, and they are saying some not nice things about me. And we didn't like that. We didn't care about that so much. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the Democrats. You always blame it on the Democrats. Blame it on Hillary Clinton, who's in the news. It's the perfect time. No, actually, the pedophile protectors are in the Democrat Party. It was Bill and Hillary Clinton. We all know about Bill and Epstein Island. We all know. We all saw the WikiLeaks emails. We all saw it. And it led to a little thing. It was called Pizzagate. We saw Pizzagate. So no, it's not Trump. It's not Trump. It's the Democrats. And in case you didn't see, in case you missed it, because it was a little while ago, but in case you missed the WikiLeaks emails, the Democrat emails, I've got them right here. Let's go ahead and run them down, shall we? Right here. Talks about pizza-related maps. I don't know what that is. Nobody seems to know. Maybe we should find out. It talks about Barack Obama and $65,000 worth of hot dogs. I don't think they're talking about food, folks. No, I don't think so. But maybe we need to find out. Look at this one. Marina Abramovich. There's a real number. There's one right there for you. Right here, it talks about spirit cookings with the Podestas. And if you haven't seen the Podesta art, my goodness, something is wrong with that. Not good stuff. There it is, Marina Abramovich. This is the Democrats. This was the Hillary Clinton campaign, the fake Russiagate Hillary Clinton campaign. And here they are. Here's another one for your interest. They talk about right here, children in the hot tub for your entertainment. I don't know what that means. Maybe we should ask the people on the emails. So there you go. Who's really protecting the pedophiles? It's not Trump, folks. Maybe it's the mainstream anti-Trump media. Maybe you can ask them. There you go. How much do you pay Susie Wiles to not give you this advice, President Trump? There you go. Done. And now you've cleared a little space between you and the pedo protector moniker that is sticking right now. And if you want to give somebody the middle finger, don't give it to the Ford plant worker. Give it to the Democrats. Give it to the Clintons. Give it to the real pedophile protectors. Or you can be lumped in with them. And I'm sorry Susie Wiles isn't giving you this advice, Mr. President. But there you go. I do it for free. I do it for free. Should probably be considered a tax deduction, quite frankly. All right, did you guys see this? Did you hear about this? I wasn't affected by it, or maybe I was. I don't know. I didn't notice. Verizon is having a nationwide outage. AT&T, T-Mobile apparently still working. You know what? I saw this everywhere today. Now that I'm reading it, do you think this was just some sort of a fake story, like a marketing thing for AT&T and T-Mobile, now that I'm thinking about it? Because I didn't have an outage. Did anybody have an outage? You know, they plant these stories, and it was all over the media. Now I'm reading it now, and I'm thinking, is this a planted story? Is this a planted anti-Verizon story? I have Verizon. I didn't have an outage. Did you guys? We'll see. We'll look at the comments. No, some people are saying they're still having problems. Is this true, guys? Some people are saying no problems. Let's see. Well, it looks like you guys aren't having any problems. Some are saying they might have had problems. So, okay, maybe there's something there. Widespread Verizon outage prompts emergency alerts in Washington, New York City. The nation's largest wireless provider said that its engineers are working to identify and solve the issue quickly. See if there's anything serious about that. Could just be, tech issues. They happen. They happen. Oh, my. Okay, we went to the Jerusalem Post conference earlier where they're talking about how the plans, the U.S.-Israel-backed plans for regime change in Iran are inevitable. Now, here's another one. I mean, this guy, I don't know how long he's been around, this Shabbos Kestenbaum. I know he's affiliated with PragerU. He's been popping up a lot more lately. He's a major defender of Israel and Israel's interests. I think he's a registered Democrat. I might be wrong about that, but I believe he's a registered Democrat. But either way, We're seeing him now all over right-wing movements to defend Israel. That seems to be his purpose in American politics, is to defend Israel. Well, boy, oh boy, listen to what he says at the Jerusalem Post conference. This is pretty insulting, un-American, unconstitutional. Here it is.
Yet, for whatever reason, when it comes to anti-Semitism, when someone commits an anti-Semitic act, we don't send them to jail. Instead, we get the ADL to say, let's bring them to a Holocaust museum, which A, gives them pretty bad ideas, and B, doesn't solve anything about the fundamental issue that they violated the law. So the way we solve anti-Semitism is pretty goddamn simple, and I'm really besides myself that we don't push for this with all the major Jewish organizations. When someone commits a crime, stop sending them on El Al flights. That will make them more anti-Semitic, I guarantee it. Send their ass to jail. It's not complicated. Yet for whatever reason, when it comes
a lot to unpack here, actually, in a 30-second clip. A lot to unpack. Now, folks, what did I tell you? What have I been saying? I've already been a free speech prisoner from the left. At this rate, I will be a free speech prisoner of the right because I criticize Israel. And we all know the game that they're playing. We all know the game that they're playing. You're not allowed to criticize Israel. And if you do, they call you anti-Semitic. And then they write laws against anti-Semitism. And then they say, oh, you criticized Israel. You're an anti-Semite. Now you're going to jail. That's the game they're playing. Now, this is all unconstitutional. This is all illegal. This is all against the First Amendment. Quite frankly, we should be calling for this guy's deportation. Quite frankly, we should be finding a boat to send this guy out to the Atlantic Ocean on. This anti-free speech lunatic, this anti-free speech equivalent of a foreign agent. Now, I don't know what his ties are to Israel or the Netanyahu regime. I don't know if he's part of the digital influence campaign. But when you're out here calling for speech crime in protection of a foreign country, for all intents and purposes, you're essentially acting as a foreign agent. So this is the game that they play. You have a different opinion on foreign policy, or you offer criticism of a foreign government or a foreign leader, in this case, Israel or Netanyahu. They just claim it's anti-Semitism, and then they write laws making anti-Semitism illegal, and then you can't criticize Israel. You can't criticize Netanyahu. You can't even say anything negative about a Jewish person, I guess, or you're going to jail. Now, the irony is that he says, and maybe he's kidding where he says sending him to a Holocaust museum, gives him bad ideas. Well, wait, do you really think that that's, again, I think these, I think these people like Mark Levin, Josh Hammer, and others who have expressed anti-white bigotry, they believe every white person is inherently an anti-Semite. So they have openly expressed and shown their anti-white bigotry. I don't know if Kestenbaum has ever expressed such a thought, but it seems like that's what he's saying. Like, oh, you send a white person to a Holocaust museum, that gives them a bad idea. What are you talking about? That seems like projection, or maybe it was just a joke. Okay. But then he says that will make them more anti-Semitic. Oh, that'll make them more anti-Semitic. But let's see. A Jew in a kippah saying that you're going to be arrested for anti-Semitic speech, we're going to send you to jail. I'm sure that won't cause any more anti-Semitism. I'm sure that you up there at the Jerusalem Post conference saying we need to put people in jail for anti-Semitism, I'm sure that will not cause any more anti-Semitism. I'm sure that will not do the exact opposite of what it claims you're trying to do. Or maybe you want to cause more anti-Semitism. Maybe that is what you're trying to do. So that way that you guys, when you have these bills proposed to make anti-Semitic speech illegal, you can get some public support for it because it'll actually be there. Tell me how this isn't a deportable offense. I don't know. Maybe he is American. I don't know. Maybe he's a dual citizen. I don't know. Put him on the boats. An anti-free speech. This is unbelievable, folks. Never forget. You should never. So this guy will continue to pop up. He's very active. And to his credit, he doesn't run from a debate, and he speaks his mind. So we respect that here. But just know, as you continue to see this name and he pops up at other debates and other political events, and you're going to continue to see it, just remember this. Whenever you see this guy and whenever you see any opinion he expresses, just remember this is who he is.
Yet for whatever reason, when it comes to anti-Semitism, when someone commits an anti-Semitic act, we don't send them to jail. Instead, we get the ADL to say, let's bring them to a Holocaust museum, which A, gives them pretty bad ideas, and B, doesn't solve anything about the fundamental issue that they violated the law. So the way we solve anti-Semitism is pretty goddamn simple, and I'm really besides myself that we don't push for this with all the major Jewish organizations. When someone commits a crime, stop sending them on El Al flights. That will make them more anti-Semitic, I guarantee it. Send their ass to jail. It's not complicated.
Now, folks, you have to know the levels of progression here. Okay? That's an authoritarian mindset. This is the levels of progression. First, they attack you, they try to smear you, do damage to your public image. Maybe as even a chilling effect to get you to shut up. That's the first progression. When that doesn't work, then they move to the outright censorship. Now they just try to outright censor you so that nobody can see your opinion. If that doesn't work, then they sue you and they try to get you in court to shut you up and shut down your opinion. When that doesn't work, and this is the stage that Kestenbaum is at, then they want to imprison you. This is the stage of imprisonment. So it goes smear campaigns and attacks, censorship, lawfare, and then imprisonment. And do you know what comes after imprisonment, ladies and gentlemen? Do you know what happens when imprisonment doesn't shut you up? There's one last option. There's one last option that shuts you up for good. And that's the next phase. Just like the woke left does it, the woke right does it. It's the exact same strategy. It's the exact same levels of progression. It's the exact same results. And there it is. And there it is. And if you don't support regime change in Iran, or you say Israel is backing it, and the strikes that are probably inevitable, they'll throw you in jail. Be careful. Be careful out there. Anthony Aguilar, listener, Anthony Aguilar, I'm assuming this is the individual that we hear from quite often on the show. Little shout out here for Anthony. He was at Randy Fine's office, and he had a little message here. Boy, this will trigger him. Be careful, Anthony. Kestenbaum is coming to arrest you. You're going to jail for this, buddy. Free Palestine. You are gross. A nice little message to Randy Fine here from Anthony Aguilar. Be careful, Anthony. Kestenbaum and Randy Fine. Fine needs to finish up at the buffet. When Fine finishes up at the buffet, he's coming to arrest you. So be careful. Clinton's face prison threat over Congress Epstein snub. What do you guys think? What are the odds either one of them spends a millisecond in jail? Probably pretty close to zero. I don't know if absolute zero is possible, but it's pretty close. Did you guys see this? Skeleton washed ashore on Washington Beach, identified as former Oregon mayor who disappeared 20 years ago. Holy smokes. A skeleton that washed ashore on a beach in Washington state in 2006 was positively identified as a former mayor who authorities presume drowned on a fishing trip in Oregon. Drowned in a fishing trip? The mayor? Or something else? How can you not wonder? How can you not wonder? Oh boy, black pillars. Hold your horses, black pillars. Lawsuit dismissed after Trump administration quietly restored tens of millions of dollars to Planned Parenthood. Good God. Progressive groups dropped their case against HHS over the withheld family planning funds, but other challenges continue. The ACLU dropped its lawsuit against the Trump administration over tens of millions in Title 10 family planning funds. These were the funds that went to Planned Parenthood, and the Trump administration is funding Planned Parenthood again. Major F. Major F.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
No one can stop this. 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 No one can stop this.
It's the fastest 3 hours on the internet. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, third and final hour of today's transmission. We're monitoring the situation in Iran. Something could be going down in the very near future. Of course, we've been anticipating this for quite some time now. But it looks like the airspace is cleared. Netanyahu is, he's kind of in a defense pattern. Some other things have been happening. Trump moving ships into the region. So looks like it's just a matter of when, not if. Continuing to monitor that. Okay, so, fraud is not the big story anymore. It's like, oh, it's Venezuela. Oh, it's fraud. Oh, it's Iran. It's just, we pick and choose when it matters, when it doesn't. Massive fraud is being unearthed in Texas. And this video is done pretty well, but it's not getting near the attention of some of the other stuff that we've seen exposed. So here you go. Let's look at some of this fraud in Texas, shall we?
Remember this map that shows a significantly larger amount of H-1B visas here in Texas than anywhere else in the country? Well, this is Chand Paravanthanini. He's an immigration lawyer here in Dallas, Texas, and as of 2024 has approved over 400,000 H-1B visa applicants, and as of 2025 has approved over 700,000 H-1B applicants in Texas. Now, you're probably asking yourself, where do these people work? Do they work at places like this? Cute little 4-bedroom, 3-bath houses that are registered to 66 H-1B applicants? They apparently run a tech company out of this house. This isn't just happening in Irving. It's happening in Irving, Plano, Las Colinas, Frisco, McKinney, Prosper, and more. Because North Texas has been completely overrun and overtaken by both Muslims and Indians. I passed my first mosque the other day. That was interesting. And you'll be glad to know that there's over 67 of them in the North Texas area. You gotta ask yourself, how many fraudulent businesses are you walking past? Because they receive government funding. And do you want to know where that government funding comes from? Your tax dollars. Every time you go to work, money gets taken out of your paycheck, it goes to them.
Kaylee Ashland on Instagram. And I think she's got some other reports on this too, some other video reports on this. She asked the question, she says, how many fraudulent businesses are you passing every day? It's so overwhelming. It's like, I'm not going to sit here and do a 3-hour transmission just showing you all of it. But I mean, just from what we've seen since Nick Shirley's expose in Minnesota, I've probably seen hundreds, maybe thousands of these fraudulent businesses. We've seen them in Georgia, Ohio, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Texas, California, New York. I'm missing any? Probably Illinois. I can't even, Mississippi. Are we talking about thousands of these businesses totally just run for fraud and that's it? Where's the action? Where's the action? How much longer do we have to sit here and watch Pam Bondi do nothing? Do nothing. Do we have to do this for 4 years? With the absent Attorney General, Pam Bondi, absent from anything except a Fox News hit piece? All right. Folks, I know we talk about how fighting with the left is not really, it's kind of a fruitless endeavor right now. We beat them politically, and a lot of this stuff is kind of old and just not relevant for the time. But this one was too good, okay? This one was too good. Josh Hawley, senator from Missouri. The Democrats call this doctor, and this is all about, the Democrats are still pushing the trans crap and men and women's sports for whatever. They're just still pushing it. So you got the Supreme Court decision going on, but you've got the Democrats in the Senate. They call this doctor, to talk about trans issues, whatever gay, woke crap that the left is trying to push on kids and people. And so they call this Dr. Verma. All right, Dr. Verma here. Now, this is Dr. Verma. Folks, this exchange was way too good, okay? So it's worth the 5 minutes. Trust me, this is just incredible. And, Holly, he plays his role well. He plays the role well here. He knows what he's doing. But there's some major reveals. There's some major reveals from this doctor as far as the ideology is concerned. And so it is actually kind of important to watch this because the major tells that happen here. So here's Josh Hawley. I'm calling this one, Can Men Get Pregnant? By Josh Hawley.
Men can get pregnant? Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. I take care of people with different identities. And so that's where I pause.
Different identities. You're a doctor, okay? You take care of people with different identities. If somebody identifies as a dolphin, what are you going to do? If a human walks into your doctor's office and says, I identify as a dolphin, are you going to send them to the veterinarian? What an outrageous lie. What an outrageous fraud. Her medical license needs to be pulled immediately. Identify. No, you don't just make things up. There are scientific facts. There are biological facts. And if you are, this is first grade science, first grade biology, and this is a doctor who must have failed first grade biology. She would fail first grade biology today. Oh, they identify. Yes. If someone goes into this doctor's office and says, I identify as a kimono dragon, she is going to recommend they go see a veterinarian. And then what is the veterinarian going to say? So, oh, Mr. Veterinarian, I'm here. Dr. Verma sent me. Say, oh, what kind of pet do you have? No, I'm a kimono dragon. This is the clown world these people live in.
I think, yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question
The goal is just to establish a biological reality. You just said
So she's going to keep saying this word, goal. I don't know what the goal there is. You understand this is projection? There is no goal when it comes to biology. There is no goal when it comes to facts about science and biology. She's revealing that they have a goal. There is a goal behind the transgender movement. They are the ones that have goals. That's why she can't answer the question, because truth gets in the way of their goals. Do you see what she's doing here? Says, oh, I don't understand the goal. There is no goal. But this shows you where they're at. This shows you what they're doing. They're the ones that are lying about biology. They're the ones that are misrepresenting science because they are the ones that have goals. Now, whether that goal is profit-driven, they want people to come in and have a surgery that they will get paid for, and then they'll get a kickback on all the different pharmaceutical drugs they need post-surgery. Maybe the goal is they want to get access to children. Maybe the goal is they want to neuter children. They are the ones with goals here. Major tell here.
a moment ago that science and evidence should control, not politics. So let's just test that proposition. Can men get pregnant?
I take care of people with many identities, but
Can men get pregnant?
many women that can get pregnant. I do take care of people that don't identify as women. That
Can men get pregnant?
again, as I'm saying,
Let me just remind you what you testified to a moment ago. Science and evidence should control, not politics. So can men get pregnant? You're a doctor, I think.
Science and evidence should guide medicine.
Do science and evidence tell us that men can get pregnant? Biological men, can they get pregnant?
I also think yes, no questions like this are a political tool. And
No, yes, no questions are about the truth, doctor. Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. This is about science and evidence. And I'm asking you, the United States Supreme Court just heard arguments yesterday at great length on this question. This is not a hypothetical question. This is not theoretical. It affects real people in their real lives. And you're here as an expert, called by the other side as an expert. And you've been telling us that you follow, right, you're a doctor, and you follow the science and the evidence. So I just want to know.
Yeah. She's a doctor. She identifies. Can I identify as a doctor? How about that? You can identify as whatever you want. That's their ideology, not mine. That's their logic, not mine. If logic can't be applied universally, then it's not logic, it's propaganda. So I identify as a doctor. We're all doctors now. Now imagine that. Now, she would not agree with that because these elitists, nobody can be a doctor. I'm a doctor. I have the medical degree. I have, I'm the doctor, not you. I'm the authority here, not you. No, I identify as a doctor. Oh, I don't think she'd like that. No, I don't think anybody can identify as a doctor. So there's your logical fallacy here. The doctor, she's the doctor.
Well, based on the science, can men get pregnant? That's a yes or no question. It really is, I think.
I think you're trying to reduce the complexity of a lot.
I'm not. I'm trying to get, it's not complex. I'm trying to get to an answer, and I'm trying to test, frankly, your veracity as a medical professional and as a scientist. Can men get pregnant?
I think you're also conflating
This is
male
extraordinary.
female with
No, I'm not conflating male and female. They're two different things. There's biological men and there's biological women. And I want to know, can men get pregnant?
What you were talking about is biological.
You're not going to answer my question, it sounds like to me.
Biological males.
This isn't hard, doctor. Can men get pregnant? Yes or no?
I would be more than happy to have a conversation with you that is not coming from a place of trying to be polarized and push.
I'm not trying to be polarizing. I'm trying to ask. I think it is extraordinary.
Now notice this. Notice that she won't say yes either. Notice now she can't say no because that goes against their false ideology. So she can't say no, men can't get pregnant because that would be admitting that their entire ideology is a lie. That would be the big admission that, okay, everything we're doing here is a lie if you admit that men can't get pregnant. But notice that she can't say yes, because if she says yes on a public record, on a congressional testimony, yes, a man can get pregnant, well, we got some problems now, don't we?
That we are here in a hearing about science and about women. And for the record, it's women who get pregnant, not men. We are here about the safety of women and science that shows that this abortion drug causes adverse health events in 11% of cases. That's 22 times greater than the FDA label, another fact you haven't acknowledged. And yet you won't even acknowledge the basic reality that biological men don't get pregnant. There's a difference between biological men and biological women. I don't know how we can take you seriously and your claims to be a person of science if you won't level with this on this basic issue. I thought we were past all of this, frankly. I can't believe we're still.
Yeah, and amen to that, by the way. Amen to that. I thought we were past all this too, but here we are.
Here talking about this.
I am a person of science, and I'm also someone here who's here to represent the complex experiences of my patients. And I don't think polarized language or questions.
Now, let's think about this, of what she's saying now. All right, she's the doctor. She's a person. She says person, She says she's a person of science. She doesn't want to say woman. Easy now. So this is the doctor. She doesn't want to get into the complexities of her patients. Now, let's look at it like this. From the doctor, from the perspective of the doctor and the community of doctors, the medical community. How good of a doctor are you if a man walks into your clinic or you have a patient that is a man and that patient says, I'm a woman. And you say, this is a little confusing. Looks like a man, facial hair, structured like a man. You say, okay, let me do a quick, can we do a quick checkup? Yeah, okay. So, you check, see if it's a man, and yep, that's okay. That's a man. Steps back and says, okay, yeah, we've done a quick physical here. He says, yeah, I'm a woman. And the doctor says, yes, you're a woman. And the man says, but I can't get pregnant. And the doctor says, oh, well, you know what? We'll find out why you can't get pregnant. Tell me, what kind of a doctor is that? Are you a good doctor? Now, if you can't even diagnose a man, if you can look at a man's male member in a scientific way, in a doctor's office here, all right? If you can't look at a male member in a doctor's office and say, sir, the reason why you can't get pregnant is because you're a man. You don't have a womb. You don't produce eggs. What kind of doctor are you? So imagine, if you can't even diagnose a man as a man, how are you going to diagnose anything? How can I trust you to diagnose anything at all, doctor?
Serve that goal. I don't think they serve the American people.
It is not polarizing to say that there is a scientific difference between men and women. And I want this to be clear and for the record. It is not polarizing to say that women are a biological reality and should be treated and protected as such. That is not polarizing. That is truth. It is also, by the way, the United States Constitution, which offers unique protections to women in a variety of circumstances as women. And your refusal to recognize women as women and men as men is deeply corrosive to science, to public trust, and yes, to constitutional protections for women as women. And I think it's extraordinary that you would sit here and advance a political agenda that has been thoroughly discredited and rejected by the American people in this forum. And I'm glad we had this exchange because it is exceptionally clarifying. It is also in many ways quite depressing. I see that my time is.
Great work, Senator Hawley from Missouri. Definitely higher, definitely on the top of the charts as far as good senators are concerned. And I know, I can already hear the people about the different issues and everything. Nobody's perfect, but all things considered, I think Hawley is probably in the upper echelon as far as senators are concerned. But that was quite revealing, I would say, and maybe a little hilarious. Maybe a little hilarious as well. All right, here's another incredible exchange. This is from the Clash report, some institute, Future of Israel's Interest, the Miriam Institute. It's all about Israel and Israel's interest, another one of these deals. So here's former CIA Mike Pompeo. Interesting conversation here shared by the Clash report from the Miriam Institute for the Future of Israel. Listen to this.
The next generation of young people won't remember October 7th in the same way. That's true in Israel and in America and broadly in the world. And we need to make sure two things. One, it's not that we don't forget. We need to make sure that the story is told properly so that when the history books write this, they don't write about the victims of Gaza, right? They can't, the history. And it's, I should be a little more precise. There were victims in Gaza, right? It's true. There are civilian casualties in every war that's ever been fought, but the victims were the people of the nation state of Israel. Though that the aggressor was the Iranian regime in the proxy of Hamas, and we need to make sure that the history books reflect that, and that requires each of us every day to talk about it in real time with our children, with our grandchildren, about it in a way that is serious and thoughtful and complete and moral.
Let me just, for the sake of time, quickly summarize this. In other words, your history books are filled with lies and propaganda because history is written by the winners, not necessarily the good guys. That's what you just heard. And I think we're all starting to realize and accept this now, that really maybe all of history, all of human history needs to be re-examined, reevaluated. And we have to accept the fact and come to the understanding that most of mainstream history, not to mention mainstream anthropology, but mainstream history in the United States, most of it is just past propaganda cemented into the history books. And by the way, the Israeli lobby and interests, they all know this. And they all know right now the way that it's looking is it looks like Israel is going to be going down as the bad guy. Israel is going to go down as the oppressors, the murderous regime, all of that. This is where like probably 80% of the planet is on this issue. So that's why they're trying to create anti-Semitic speech laws. That's why they're trying to take over all of social media, all of these different things. It's so the history books will never say anything negative ever at all about Israel ever. It's always the good guy, always the benevolence, the side of good and righteousness and everything else. No debate can be had. And there's Pompeo and with the Future of Israel's Interest Group admitting this is what we're going to do. We're going to make sure the history books cement our propaganda. And this is why they're going after TikTok. And so here's this individual, I guess, just got banned. So I guess TikTok is now officially under the purview of Larry Ellison, largest private donor to the IDF. Seems like a conflict of interest, but here we are. Now, he apparently does a video here. He says the first thing they did on his TikTok account was take down his video criticizing Nick Fuentes, and they gave him a strike. Now people are, they're I guess they're looking at this and they're saying, why would they take down a video that is criticizing Nick Fuentes? And so people are, that's leading them to one conclusion. My theory is, and I'm still dealing with the censorship here as well, but I don't want to really talk about that. I'm guessing that anything with Fuentes' name in it is probably getting struck on TikTok. Now, I don't know if this is past policy. I don't know if this is new policy. But this is, he shows the account strike. He says hashtag Fed, hashtag Fuentes, hashtag theory. So I guess that's what he's theorizing in his video. And they're saying they're taking it down. So people are saying, oh, they're pro Fuentes. I don't think it's that deep. I think this is superficial. And I think anything that's tagged as Fuentes or mentions Fuentes, they probably just take down. They probably don't even look at the content. But nonetheless, there's the result. That's what they have. And yes, the censorship on TikTok will now be directional now that Ellison is running it. That there's no doubt about that. So Did you guys see this? Now, look, I'm not. Some people are kind of freaking out. This happened at Mar-a-Lago. Now, you can rent out Mar-a-Lago for parties, and anybody can do it. But they basically had, I don't know how you would describe this. It's like a furry party. I mean, this looks like it's right out of the Hunger Games. This is like Orwell 1984 stuff happening at Mar-a-Lago. It's a bunch of people in like furry outfits and like animal kink outfits. And this is happening at Mar-a-Lago. Now, look, people are like, oh, Trump, why would you do this? Folks, Trump is the president of the United States. Okay. I doubt he's overseeing operations at Mar-a-Lago. Okay. I doubt that he had any awareness of this. And maybe now that he does, perhaps he'll take up an issue with it, make sure it doesn't happen again. I don't know. But yeah, this is like weird. This has vibes and feelings of Tom Cruise in Eyes Wide Shut. Very strange stuff. So I think maybe we need to let's try not to do that at Mar-a-Lago. I don't know. Maybe they like it. I don't know. That's a weird one for me. That's Eyes Wide Shut vibes right there. Okay. Speaking of Eyes Wide Shut, for this one, you might want nostrils wide shut. I don't think I'm going to India anytime soon, and I'm definitely not getting on a canoe in a river. Doing whiteface, by the way. It seems like there's some whiteface happening here. So, okay, that's going on in India. Where are the environmentalists? By the way, where are the environmentalists on India? It's like they go after America, that is probably one of the most environmentally sound industrial nations, and they just ignore India. Well, we all know why that is. We all know that old thing about propaganda and logic. Here's some good news for you. Young Americans are unplugging, and it's making them happier. There seems to be this trend. Young Americans, they're unplugging. They're not drinking. They're not really into drugs or partying. Still not quite sure what they're into, but I don't know. But apparently they're unplugging and not drinking and whatever they are into. I don't know. Social media, maybe video games still, maybe gambling. I don't know. But there you go. I think at a larger scale, though, maybe unplugging for health is probably a good thing. Or maybe they're doing this. Maybe they're getting into to trade schools and trades and crafts. More than 100 high school students in North Carolina are competing in a masonry competition. Absolutely nailing it. You see the youngins here, some young ladies, some young men showing off their masonry skills. I recently saw a friend of mine does woodworking. I see this stuff. I'm like so illiterate with this stuff. It's kind of embarrassing. I guess I try to compensate for my lack of like woodworking and mechanic skills, engineering skills. Like I can build a Lego set, I think. But maybe you compensate by trying to be like physically fit or something. Yeah, I couldn't do this. I see my friends that do woodworking, and I'm like, you might as well ask me to build a combustion engine or something. You might as well have me making a SpaceX rocket ship. When I see them doing the woodworking, I have no idea. But hey, that's good to see. We need people that know how to work and build things and make them beautiful. So that's good to see. All right. Let's do this as we enter the final half hour of the show. Let's go to the Super Chats, guys. We're going to read our Super Chats on YouTube, as we do when we close out the show every day. If we have extra time, we'll open phone lines. Remember, though, folks, if you're trying to get your comments read on the show, the YouTube Super Chats are the best way to do it. They hold up in my feed. I can't get the Rumble rants. They disappear. The YouTube Super Chats stay up. So if you want to get your comments read on the show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Owen Report on YouTube. Send your Super Chats there, and those are the ones that we read on screen. We start off with Ohio Mitch. Where were you during the milk wars? Well, I think I was right here in support of milk and I've been in support of raw milk for a while. I think, is that what you're talking about? Or am I missing something here? We like milk. We like raw milk here. Tay from Florida. Alex Stein is busy chasing down big booty Latinas. Have we seen or heard from Alex yet? So it was kind of a joke. Last night I teased a live stream. I was supposed to meet up with Alex, and we were going to play some ball last night. I invited some friends out. I ended up playing all night anyway, but no Stein last night. But we were going to do a live stream, playing some basketball, talking some shit, whatever. So he no-showed me. So now I have to talk trash. I think he's scared. You know, he talked a big game. When he brought it up, he wanted to play. He talked a big game. He said how good he was in the paint. Said, let's go. Let's play some ball. And then he no-showed me. I don't know. Maybe he's scared. I don't know. We're going to have to do. So I'm taking the trash talking to social media now. Robert Bickerstaff. Me mom died in the Holly. You don't joke about stuff like that. Okay. You're going to jail for that. Tad Nuggets. Some shekels for my main source of news. Excuse me, sir. Those are US dollars. Okay. We don't exchange shekels in public. You do that in private. All right. Come on, man. You know this. Jennifer in California. I'm new here. Are you live at noon Pacific, Monday through Friday, or what is your schedule? Found you coming off a vacuum from no longer watching Tim Pool. Oh, it's a good decision. I think you'll enjoy it more here. Candace broke him, and now he's unwatchable. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jennifer. Glad you found us. I've been on Tim's show a couple of times. I am live. I guess for you, it would be 1 to 4 in California. 1 o'clock p.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. I'm live weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m. weekdays Central time. So for you, I believe that would be 1 to 4 on the West Coast weekdays. Glad you can join us. Since you're here, I'll let you know. I'll let everybody know. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Rumble. So YouTube, Owen Report, rumble.com/Owen. We do still post all of our live streams and other content on X at Owen Schroyer 1776. If you prefer to listen, Jennifer, if you just like to listen and you don't want to deal with video streaming and everything else, if you want to listen, once the shows are over, we immediately post them on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. So if you just want to listen to the shows there, you can do it as well. Thank you. Glad to have you in the audience today. Hope we can keep you around. Robert Bickerstaff. Oh, and you should try to have Syrian girl on. She shot a video at the mall in Iran a few days ago, and no women were wearing beekeeper suits. Yeah, we covered that pretty heavily on the show. Yeah, we can get Syrian girl on. You know, I've already kind of talked about my my approach as far as guests on the show is concerned. And then the other thing, when you have guests that are in a different country, the time zones are really tough to navigate as well. So we run into some issues. But no, Syrian girl and I get along fine. I'm sure we could get her on the show. No problem. So maybe we'll make that effort. The real Emperor Palpatine. AI coming out at this time isn't by chance. I fear use of it for big misinformation before the end. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I don't think we fully understand the ramifications of AI yet. I really don't. I think we can kind of perceive the threats just like we can perceive the advantages, perhaps. But I don't know. I don't know if we can fully comprehend where AI is going to take us. And I also think there's one thing being left out of it, the conversation, which is how much human interest is there really in AI? How much consumer interest is there really in AI? How much production, manufacturing interest is there in AI? It's like, I feel like the bar or the crest, whatever it is, I feel like the ceiling is maybe a lot lower than people think. I'm not sure. Is the concept of artificial intelligence even real? Like, can you really have artificial intelligence, or is it at the end of the day, is it still just an algorithm? Is it still just a data processor? It's not sentient or intelligent. Can it have thoughts? Can it reach its own conclusions, or is it all just numbers and processing? But I will say, I think that maybe, when you talk about misinfo, you're seeing these videos now. There's this new technology where you basically, I could just be sitting here like this in my studio, and you put some AI filter on it, and I could pretend I'm anybody. I could pretend I'm Netanyahu. I could pretend I'm Trump, and it looks just like him. And with the AI voice modulators, so AI video, AI voice modulation, you can essentially pretend to be somebody else entirely. And it'd be easy to fool people with that. And people have been fooled. You've had these phishing scams where people will pretend to be celebrities, and they'll do these phishing scams, and they'll like pay for autographs and access and all this stuff. And you're just talking to somebody who's using AI. There's this one girl who probably makes decent money now. She fakes that she's in a relationship with, what's the guy's name? Joe Keeley, I think is the guy's name, from Stranger Things. And she pretends to be in a relationship, and she has AI making all these fake images of them on dates, whatever, traveling. They just had a baby together. It's a fake image of her holding a baby, Joe holding the baby. It's all fake. It's all AI generated. And she's garnered millions of impressions. And I guess at one point people thought it was real, and they found out it was all fake. So yeah, the level of deception that you're going to get with AI, that's going to be pretty extreme, I would say. The real Emperor Palpatine is back. AIQ appeasement. I don't know what you mean exactly by AIQ appeasement. I wonder who in the Trump administration is posting all the Q stuff, and if Trump likes it or not. It's very strange. Because weren't they like banning Q stuff at one point from Trump rallies? This was a long time ago. Chatty Boom Batty. What is it like to be from the same state as Matthew McConaughey? Matthew McConaughey, I believe he lives in Travis County. I believe he lives in Austin, Texas. He's a big booster of the athletics programs here, the UT Longhorns. Big fan. He's always at the football games, everything else. Pretty popular here in Austin. What is it like to be from the same state as Matthew McConaughey? I'd say it's all right. NASA 13, gay commercial break music. All right, NASA. Well, I guess I'll just play commercials then for you. We'll just play commercials. Tay from Florida, how it started. DJT, fight at Butler, Pennsylvania, versus how it's going. DJT, middle fingers equals FU. It was, seemed like a bit of a symbolic moment for many, I will say. Cosberg, the Dems will abolish ICE and put them on trial. The whole thing is crazy. And it's like, when do we go after Alejandro Mayorkas and the NGOs and the charities that facilitated this invasion? They committed crimes, probably treason. So that's kind of an issue. Dems are coming for ICE and Trump will do nothing. Well, Bondi has done nothing so far. That's for sure. Big Mike. Bro, you really need a mod in your YouTube chat. The spammers are ridiculous. Well, I'm not going to discount the idea here out of hand. I just don't know what it is you're talking about. I don't moderate the chat. I've never moderated chats. I've never done that. It's kind of like I've never blocked anybody on X. I've never moderated chats. I kind of just look at it as a free speech thing. The one thing I've done before is if people are spamming links or spamming like copy and posting on there, I will ban them because I don't tolerate that. That's obnoxious. That doesn't do anybody any good. That's not a free speech thing. That's just getting an obnoxious person out of the room. But I don't really moderate the chat, so I don't know. And I've never even done that, so it's not even something I'm too familiar with. Robert Bickerstaff, what's in the file on Anthony Weiner's laptop in the folder named Life Insurance with a video marked Frazzle Drip? Somebody knows about that. Somebody in the NYPD specifically might know about that. JB4421. So your suggestion is to deflect to Pizzagate. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah. Yeah, if I was advising President Trump and he didn't want the pedo protector moniker to stick, I would have him deflect to Pizzagate. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, so I understand what you're saying, and it's kind of like a dig at me. It's like, oh, you're standing up for Trump covering up the Epstein files. It's not what I'm doing. I was just more telling Trump, it's like, hey, you're so pissed off about being the Epstein cover-up guy now. Well, here's a way you can deflect. So that's fair. If you want to say it's a suggestion for deflection, I'll take that criticism. But I'm not the one advising Trump. I'm the one complaining about the Epstein file cover-up. So it's not like I'm deflecting from it. I'm just saying if Trump doesn't want that to stick, if Trump is sick and tired of being called the pedo protector, then blow the doors off of Pizzagate. And there you go. But hey, I guess, if you take it differently, that's a fair dig at me, but that's not what I'm doing here. Jennifer, your Trump impression is spot on. I'm dying. More of this, please. I've got the, I've got the Trump outfit here. I can do the whole shebang. We do it sometimes for some of our impression videos. Ohio Mitch, Owen, Trump can't create any degree of separation with Epstein. At this point, the PDF protector and chief, pedophile protector in chief, is definitely also protecting himself. Well, that's going to be a conclusion people reach. No doubt about it. Squida Beller. Oh God, I'm aging myself, guys. What does that mean? I think ILY is I love you. What is SM? Do I want to know? God, I hope I don't regret reading that. All right. Well, thank you. I love all you guys too. We're just filled with love today. That's it. It's a people, we're just a bunch of lovers in here, just loving life. Got a request for Rabbi Schroyer. What about Ayatollah Schroyer? What about that? Ayatollah, Supreme Leader Schroyer. My DJ moniker is DJ Tyrant. I don't take requests. I'll fire up a DJ stream. I'll just play music. Just ignore the trolls like Owen does. Probably irritates them more. From Shelley Chavers. Well, that is true. That is true. But an advanced troll is not bothered by it. Because an advanced troll can also be a shapeshifter. So you got to be careful with those. Got to be careful out there. All right, guys. We got some time left. If we get any more super chats, we will read them. We got some time left on the show here. So let's open up the phone lines. Where are we at here? Where are my phone lines at? Let's go. There they are. Lines are open. 747-255-60. 747-255-60. And we'll get you up and on the air. Remember, single line. I pick up. I ask you where you're from. I ask you what your name is, where you're from. Excuse me. And you are on the air. We've been getting some interesting callers. I don't mind criticism. I don't mind haters. I like it. But guys, don't turn it into this thing where you call in just to do that because I'm like asking for it or something. So let's try not to do that because I feel like some people are trying to do that now. But let's see what happens today on the lines. All right, first caller to the show. What's your name? Where you're from? Yes. I agree. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those viewpoints. We really, that was special of you. Thank you so much. All right, next caller. What's your name? Where you're from? That's it? You just wanted to say hi? So here's actually, hold on a second. So this is actually ironic. They're saying they didn't hear the last caller. He didn't talk. That was the joke. The last caller didn't say anything. That's why you didn't hear him. But now we have Fake Albert. You can hear him. So go ahead, Fake Albert.
There you go. So check it out. Like, so off cuff, like, I'm not trying to promote nothing here, but if I had some software I wanted to share with you, how would I get that to you?
What do you mean? What software? What are you talking about?
Well, something that my team and I developed. I wanted you to check it out. Maybe you could, see what you think about it. Maybe we could work out a deal.
What is it?
Let me send it to you. And then we'll check it out.
What does the software do? What is the purpose?
I can't say too much without giving away the idea. That's what I'm saying. So if there's a way for you and I to maybe talk offline or some other way, I could get in more in detail about how stuff works.
All right, I'll tell you what. Shoot me an email. Can you do that?
I can do that. What's the best email to get a hold of you?
Shoot me an email to Owen Schroyer Live at proton.me. Owen Schroyer Live at proton.me. All right, so we'll try it that way. Thank you for the call. Next caller, what's your name, where you're from?
Hey, sorry about that earlier, Owen. It's Water Snob Sam.
All right, Sam, go ahead.
I was just saw you didn't know what that I love you, the SM is so much.
Oh, well, that's very endearing. I was worried. I didn't know what it was, but I feel better now.
I know, I'm a little older too. I don't know what all those, I know laughing my ass off, I know some of those, but some of these new ones I don't know either.
Well, we created the online communication acronyms with the JKs, the LOLs, the G2Gs, the BRBs. So we were on that first. Next caller, what's your name? Where you from?
I know, I'm a little older.
Kyle from Reno.
All right, Kyle, go ahead.
Hey, earlier you said the independent party is growing, and you said it's probably from the Trump supporters, but I do think there was a Biden effect there, and a lot of the lefties probably came to the middle. And surprisingly enough, I'm seeing that the Young Turks have actually come to the center a little bit and are calling the Democrats out.
Yeah.
And I had
that's
idea,
true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe you guys should try to get on one another's show and maybe get in a whole lot of new audience. And I see a lot of people. This is an opportunity for a lot of people to kind of come together and just keep
I'd
it
like to
rolling.
see
maybe
that.
Contact them.
Well, I've been in touch. I think I said this the other week. I've been in touch with Anna Kasparian, and she's been trying to do a collab with me, but the time is we've just been running into timing issues, so it just hasn't worked. So we've been trying to do a collab with Anna, but the timing just hasn't aligned yet. I'm sure it'll happen eventually. So yeah. But yeah, the idea that the left and the right finds common ground to try to get some victories here for the country, I do think is inevitable. Whether it, I don't know if. I think seeing the people on the left and the right move towards independent and breaking from party ranks is an indicator of that there's a desire for that. But it'll probably have to happen in the media before it happens politically, I would say. We'll see. The midterms are going to be wild, though. Maybe that'll be an indicator. A couple super chats coming in here. Let's go to Marina Gavrich. So much happening. What I enjoy is each of you that I watch are pushing a specific narrative, and when you sit at night, you can see how it all ties together. Zionist and globalization. Movement is life. Get fit, people. Did you mean to say aren't pushing a specific narrative? I feel like that is what you meant to say. But either way, I agree. Get fit, and you look like you're probably a bikini model yourself, based off of your profile picture. So I agree. Get in shape. Take care of yourself, folks. You only get one body. You only get one shot at being healthy. Take it. Astronomy. Owen, you should play a local band to make some OG tunes you can play. Oh, I should pay a local band to make OG tunes to play. I kind of it's like you have to pick and choose your battles in life, but, in media, politics, it's the same thing. And the original intent, and we hear about the music all the time, the original intent was that music was going to be a part of the show, the break music, whatever. but we can't play it. We get hit with the strikes every time, so we just can't even play it. I mean, folks, it's so extreme where I play videos that have music in the background. It's like you're not even playing music. It's just music in the background of some of these videos, and it pings. So they're just all over me with the music stuff. So we're looking at potential options for that. It was just like when I started to play the music and it just got hit, I just kind of said, all right, I'm not fighting this. It's not a battle worth having right now. Maybe there'll be a solution in the past. The content is the same. You guys are tuning in for political news, talk, analysis. That's what you want. If I can add to the experience with music, then that's great. It's just, right now it's just not really a priority. So we just kind of use it as buffer music. It's some old video game music. And if people like it, then they can listen to it. If they don't, they can turn it down and wait till we come back. Just give me gold. Hey, Owen, I just wanted to tell you that the ice shooting phone view is surprisingly not AI. The Trex and Shark in the back can be seen in Google Maps. Well, I don't know. I don't think anybody was claiming that was AI. Was that a rumor going around? I didn't see that. But I guess you got to consider it all now. Oh, my gosh. Squid Bell, who she loves me so much. But what about long time? I know you love me so much, but do you love me long time? Hey, Owen, since you refuse to stream without a shirt, can you at least post more pics for your ex-subscribers? Please, please, please. I love you so much. If you know what? You're one please short. You were one please short. If you had 4 pleases, then I might have thought about it. But 3 pleases is not doing it for me. That's not going to... No. We're going to need more than that. Well, you know what? Maybe you'll get what you want. I want fair warning, though. I gave a fair warning at the beginning of the year that 2026 is the year of the MOG. So before I start mogging, before I start physique posting, I want to give you guys a chance to catch up. So we'll give you some time to catch up before we start mogging and physique posting. I do think we have to go there. I do think we have to own our enemies in all spectrums. I do. I'm a firm believer in that. We have to defeat our enemies in all spectrums. We have to be better at debate. We have to be more knowledgeable on issues, as many as we possibly can. I call it maxing. That's what I call it. There's the new trend of looks maxing. I prefer maxing. Max as much information, as much knowledge. Yes, looks. Yes, health. Yes, physiques, history, politics, culture, entertainment, music, theater, all of it. Maxing. Mind, body, spirit, soul. But as far as the physique posting and the mogging, I wanted to at least give you guys some time to catch up. And then once you've had a couple months to catch up, maybe then we can start mogging and physique posting. But we have to be more fit. We have to be healthier, we have to be better looking, and we have to be more physically fit than our enemies. We have to be. We must demand it of ourselves. Washington's Truth. Thank you for tuning in. Squidabelle. Okay, well, Squidabelle Ross. Okay, now I understand it. Squidabelle Ross. Now, why do you call yourself a squid? Do you have 8 legs and arms? That would be, let's stop. Let's just stop. Washington's Truth. Sorry, I was the dude that didn't say anything. My bad. I couldn't tell. All good. We got you on the super chats. Oh, boy, guys. Oh, boy. Is this the stuff? We can't moderate it. I read all the chats. So do with it what you will. I read all the chats. Squidabelle Ross, she's going to be wild on here now. This is great. She gives the... well, I guess that's technically 4 pleases. Please, please, please. On my knees. Please. Get off your knees, Squidabelle. Get off your knees. Go run a lap. Okay? Go run a lap. You get a lap for that. That's a lap. Behave. All right, let's take another call. Next caller, what's your name, where you're from?
Hey, my name is Evan. I'm from Virginia.
All right, Evan, go ahead.
Hey, man, I just really wanted to compliment you and say I love your content. Me and my wife love watching the Owen Report. You're part of my daily routine.
I love it. That means a lot, man. I really appreciate that. The fact you invite me into your house and your family, it really means a lot. I don't take that for granted. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for the call. That's a nice, clean call. I like that. A nice, clean call, quick, precise, complimentary, gold star. Double gold star. Next caller, what's your name? Where you from?
Hey, this is Nick from Mississippi, the #1 Schroyer warrior.
Oh, that's a new one. Okay, #1 Schroyer warrior Nick in Mississippi. Go ahead.
Yeah, I called you back when Mom Donnie got elected. I was a little nervous because I could hear the echo in the background. But I just wanted to say, great job on the show, man. I'm loving it. And the other night when you came on in the middle of the night and did a little stream, I really enjoyed that. Do you think, like, if anything happens with Iran or anything, that you'd be doing any more late night shows?
Yes. Yeah, I would imagine so. If something happens late tonight, yeah, I'd probably fire up a live stream when there's breaking news and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I appreciate it. I hate trying to watch Fox News and all that. They don't cover anything, and it's hard to find anybody. So anytime you come on, I'm tuning in immediately.
Totally understand that. So yeah, I would just put on notifications wherever it is you like to tune in. YouTube, Rumble, X, wherever it is. Just put on notifications, and if we do fire one up for an emergency live stream, you'll get notified.
Oh yeah, yes sir. I'm watching you through Rumble all the time.
There you go. Rumble notifications.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you for the call. Washington's Truth. Huge fan. Tried calling like 5 other times, but it's not working. You're part of my daily routine. Oh, boy. Part of your daily routine and better than Fuentes. Oh, boy. Honestly, I feel that Nick just does different content. Honestly, this is really a news-driven show. I cover news. I cover headlines. I feel like Nick is way more kind of like just like general content, kind of just general vibe content, responsive content, cultural content. So I think it's kind of two different things. Nick might even fall more into the category of entertainment when he does his show, whereas I think mine is probably more news, headlines. I think it's two different shows, but don't get me in trouble with the Groypers. You don't want the Groyper army on you. It's just, you just don't want it. It's not good. You don't want the frog army like out of the Old Testament coming down on you. It's a phenomenon. I will say this, actually. I think it was last night. Nick talked about he's the black sheep. Yeah, he said it differently. But he's the black sheep of the right wing. And he talked about how Rumble, I guess they offered Nick Shirley a deal. They had Nick Shirley in studio. I think it was with Chris Pavlowski. And they offered Nick a contract, which, by the way, when Rumble first came out, they were kind of throwing out a lot of streamer contracts. And they were paying a lot of streamers money to exclusively stream on Rumble. That kind of went by the wayside. Also, Rumble stock, and maybe they look at this as a Bongino thing, but Rumble stock kind of tanked recently, and maybe that's why they're trying to bring Bongino back. I think it's more the natural progression of a lot of stocks. They come in, especially when it's something like that that's popular. They come in, they soar up, and then eventually people just sell. But maybe Rumble stock numbers had something to do with Dan wanting to come back. I don't know. That's just a theory. But Nick said, how is it? Nick is the #1 streamer on Rumble now. We'll see what happens. Bongino was, but without Bongino, it's been Nick. There's no doubt. And it was funny. He said it, and it is right. It is true. It's funny how this happens, and it's true. He is the biggest streamer on Rumble, and yet it's like he doesn't exist. It's like, oh, no, we are not inviting you to any of these events. We're not giving you any streamer awards. We're not giving you any contracts, And it is, it's true. It's true. And I can totally relate to it. It's just like you're just, and Israel is one issue. It's maybe the most glaringly obvious issue that if you don't align with the Israeli lobby, then you're gatekept out of Republican Party politics, conservative politics, and the different institutions, industries, agencies that are affiliated with it. They do gatekeep you out, and Fuentes is an example. And I'm an example, too. I'm an example of it, too. But, and I don't think Nick is really I don't think he's maybe he's bothered by it. Maybe he's not. I just accept it. I just accept it and don't care. I kind of prefer it, to be honest. Actually, I do prefer it. But it is true. It is glaringly obvious. And it's maybe even more revealing that they'll invite transgenders and cross-dressers and porn stars and all of this other crap, and they'll extend the invitations to them to be on the big conservative stage. But not to us. Not to us, It's true. It is true. It's undeniable. All right, last call of the show, and then we'll read the final super chats. Last caller of the show. What's your name? Where you're from?
Oh, and it's Roger in L.A.
What's up, Roger?
Do you think that the world-famous anti-vaxxer Aaron Rodgers is coming back for another season?
No, I don't. But I would say this. I think I don't know. It seems like for Aaron, some of the fun has been lost. It seems like it's a lot more of a struggle for him now to get through a season and to go through the game-by-game, week-by-week process. But I will say this. If he has any desire left to play, he needs to go somewhere, or maybe the Steelers draft a quarterback. It sounds like he's done in Pittsburgh, though. It looks like Pittsburgh is hitting the reset button. I think Tomlin is out now, too. So I don't think he's going to be going back to Pittsburgh. But if Aaron wants to stick around, he could. But what he needs to do is he needs to go to a team that is either going to draft a young quarterback or has a young quarterback that he can just kind of either serve as the backup or as the the interim until the rookie or until the young guy is ready, kind of like what he did with Jordan Love in Green Bay to an extent. Because the NFL is a two-quarterback league now. Most teams will start two quarterbacks at some point in the season. So it's a two-quarterback league. So if he wants to come in and kind of play that role as the guy that's going to hand over the franchise to the rookie or the next quarterback and maybe serve as the backup even, then he can probably do another year. I think it'd have to be the right fit. I'd like to see it. We're all rooting for Aaron. I think we all like him. But it sounded to me in the press conference that he was done. It would be tragic for his career to end like that. A top 10 quarterback, no doubt, maybe arguably top 5. It would be tragic to see his career end like that. And let me just say, here's another one for you. And I was even maybe going to post this on social media, but people freak out when I post stuff that's not politics. I was looking at it because Rodgers, he passed a bunch of records in that loss this weekend. He passed a bunch of NFL playoff records. This is a wild one for you. In the years, I forget the exact years, but I think it was like 2006 to 2009. I think that was the window. There were 3 years, 2006 to 2009, where 9 of the top 10 passing yards quarterbacks of all time played in the exact same season, 3 straight seasons. And I'm looking at Rodgers, and he's retiring, and he's like one of the last of that generation. Phillip Rivers, obviously, he comes back for a cup of coffee. But Rodgers is kind of the last remaining giant from that generation. And people are looking at the passing yards numbers, and they're all down. We just witnessed, it's time for us to appreciate that people that haven't. We witnessed the greatest generation of NFL quarterbacks probably that's ever going to exist. I don't think we fully understand that the Mount Rushmore of NFL quarterbacks all basically played at the same time. 9 of the top 10 QBs in passing yards played in 2006 to 2009. The greatest quarterbacks of all time were all playing at the same time, and it's like we didn't even realize it. We did not even realize it, and now people are like, oh, well, why can't Herbert win a game or Lamar and all this stuff? It's like, no, guys, we just didn't realize we literally just watched the greatest generation of quarterbacks to ever play the game, and they just all happened to play at the same time. So Rodgers is kind of the last of that generation, and I would like to see him come back, but I don't know. It sounded in the press conference like he was done. Don't you think?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, and I appreciate the insight, man. It would be sweet if you had a little sports sideshow going on, man.
I want to. I've got a vision. It's kind of in the proposed Win Network, let's say, long-term plan to have a Win Sports. I would like to have a Win Sports. I've got a couple people that would like to run it. Again, we're in month number 4 of this show. I don't have a big budget. I don't have a lot of money. We do fine. But we don't have a big budget. If the show is successful and we grow and the budget increases, these are some of the things that we're going to do in the future. No doubt. No doubt.
Well, it's awesome, brother. Well, we love your independent show here, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. And I think Kirk Cousins also announced he was retiring. I will say this, Aaron has always kind of had a desire to get involved in the media in some way, shape, or form. And you see him kind of scratch that itch with the Pat McAfee show. Don't be surprised if Rodgers retires, he does his own podcast or something in that vein. Don't be surprised at all. Squidabelle is back, guys. She says, I can give you beautiful blue-eyed babies. Well, we have no evidence. We have no evidence to support that notion. Maybe I need to take the Elon Musk route, guys. Would you guys be willing for me to just do that? Just go full on Elon Musk and just, have a bunch of kids? I'd be down for it. We got volunteers already. Good Lord. That's fun. Shelly Chavers, my husband and I went to the 2017 Gen 6 conference in Branson, and we really liked and followed you ever since. Glad you are independent now. Hey, thank you, Shelly. Are you from that area? Had a great time, by the way. And what's funny about that conference is I wasn't as much into kind of the human anthropology aspect. I knew Steve Quayle, and then I got introduced to Timothy Alberino, who I think is awesome. And the documentaries that those guys do are just awesome. But that was kind of, in a way, my introduction to it, because they invited me to be a part of that panel, and it was kind of like politics and human history, and it was like I was kind of the younger politics guy. But then I really got interested when I was researching Timothy and the other people on that panel. I really started to get interested in the anthropology and the secret history. And Timothy does great work. Graham Hancock does great work. True Legends, the production company, puts out great documentaries. So it's funny. That was kind of my first serious interest into ancient hidden history and anthropology. That was a fun conference, though. We really had a great time. Yes, I love you so much. I got it now, Tay-Tay. I got it. We figured it out. We got it. Thank you. Boxed Out Games. Bongino is back to take Rumble out because it's the biggest threat left. Could be a CIA op. He'll get paid either way. Well, I don't know about that because at one point, I don't know if it's still true. At one point, Bongino was a major stakeholder and part owner, I believe, in Rumble. He was a major factor of Rumble becoming one of the biggest free speech streaming platforms out there, which Rumble certainly is still to this day. But I don't think that. Now, I do think people are going to have a concern about, Bongino going back and basically just becoming a voice box for the administration in the media. I'm not necessarily convinced of that either, just by the way Trump talked about it, because it sounded like Trump was a little he didn't really like the fact that Bongino was leaving to go back to his podcast. He seemed a little sour about that. So I'm not so sure, but that is going to be a concern. But, it's funny because, and I know I predicted this. I said this. I kind of thought the whole Bongino thing would phase out. It was kind of funny and, the whole thing, and he gets involved in it. And we're all laughing at the Karate Man videos. I kind of thought it would phase out and flatline. I now think, I don't even think it's reached peak altitude because the memes keep coming. And now Bongino, I guess, is set to come back February 2nd or something. And it's just like, what is he going to deliver? It's like, what is Dan Bongino going to come back on air with? A platter of nothing. I just don't know what he can do now when his entire podcast career was about the deep state, arresting the deep state corruption, Russiagate hoax, Spygate hoax, Epstein files, Epstein cover-up. Epstein didn't kill himself. Like, this was his whole thing. And now he's supposed to go back and do what? What does the Dan Bongino show offer now? Because if he goes back to that, then he just looks like a total fraud after doing nothing at the FBI and leaving. And he obviously is not going to come out as an FBI whistleblower. He's not going to come back and say, okay, here's what I saw, here's the problems. He's obviously not going to do that. It's probably what he should do. Honestly, though, I'm just like, Bongino to me is now just a thing of the past. I don't know how else to say it. It looks like Bongino is now just a thing of the past. I wonder what happens with that show and his ratings. Because to me, it's like, I don't know. I don't know where he goes from here. And if he thinks doing the audience crash out show, that might get ratings. People might tune in just to watch Bongino crash out every day. That could happen. But as far as relevancy in the news media, alternative media world, I don't know. I don't know how he regains that short of becoming an FBI whistleblower or showing you how the sausage is made after his time at the FBI. I just don't know. Seems impossible, quite frankly. But that's his challenge, not mine. And we'll all watch the car crash. That is going to be Dan Bongino, I'm sure. I'm sure. We'll all be watching the car crash. That is Dan Bongino. That does it for today's transmission. 21-hour break. God bless, Godspeed.